Welcome everybody here today. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy evening to be here with us. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could remain standing while that is, when it's over, Mr. Hicks is going to bless our meeting for us.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today with many thanks. Thanks for just giving us life. Thanks for just all of the things that you have done for us. Lord, we just ask that you just be a continuous watch over our country, for our safety, for our freedom. Lord, we just ask that you just watch over those that protect us for our freedom, Lord. We just ask that you continue to watch over those that were impacted by the hurricanes that have gone through, that you just continue to be watching over them, but also those that are supporting them through all of the volunteer efforts. Lord, we just ask that you to continue to bless and watch over all of the law enforcement that protect us locally as well as throughout our country, Lord. We just ask that you just watch over our meeting, that you be in the presence of all of the decisions that are made, not just for individual goals, but just for the purpose of for the good of and through you, Lord. We just ask that you just watch over every single person that's here, everyone's family, to keep everyone safe. We just watch over all of our school systems locally, all of our administrators, all of our educators. You just watch over them, keep them safe throughout the school year. We just ask that you watch over all of our leaders throughout the country at a federal, state, and local level, that all the decisions are made are through the middle of you, Lord. We just ask all of these things in your matchless name we pray. And everyone say amen.
All right, the first order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'd have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Page. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Next is the approval of the minutes for the council meeting and special called meeting on September the 9th, the special called meeting on September the 16th, and the work session and executive session on September the 3rd. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve all the minutes of those meetings.
I have a motion from Ms. Avery. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Anderson. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Great. We have no awards, presentations, or proclamations tonight, and so we'll move on to our reports. Mr. Hartley.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report.
All right. Next, we'll move on to City Council, and I'll start with Mr. Perkle today.
I have no report this month.
All right. Mr. Hicks.
Thanks, Mayor. I first want to just thank all of our city staff for the amazing job that they did for our city through the cleanup efforts, through the Hurricane Helene that had brushed through the area. They did, Joe Appling and his team did such an amazing job, proactively as well as reactively. So we're really grateful for them. I want to thank our marshals. Again, I think that is sometimes a thankless job of what they do. They are always seen within the community, but not just within the community, they're within our schools, and that's something that's really near and dear to me. There was a lockdown drill that was done throughout all of Gwinnett County, and one of the things that I had the opportunity to not witness but hear from our administrators was the marshals, their job that they actually played as a part of the lockdown drills within our local cluster of schools, ensuring that the processes were followed, ensuring that the kids and the administration and everyone knew what to do. So I applaud them for what they do, not just within our schools, but also within our community. Their presence is always there. They are always throughout the city. They are not just from a community policing perspective, but also as a supplement to our amazing Gwinnett County Police Department as well. So I'm super appreciative of them and just want to thank them for that. I want to thank our city staff, our youth council, which I'm quite sure they will touch on. Our youth council had an opportunity to do a staff mixer where all of the department heads from our city staff stayed after their shift to be a part of this, and I won't steer their thunder as they will probably share it. So, but I do want to thank them personally for their time and everyone from our city manager, assistant city manager, to all the department heads were a part of this, and so I appreciate that. I do want to bring attention that early voting do start tomorrow and run through November 1st. It is important to ensure that not just at the federal level, but also there is a lot of important races that are running at the local and the state level as well, that hopefully where everyone do their research and get out and vote. That's something that's also near and dear to me is just not who you vote for, but that's actually that you get out and actually cast your vote. So just, pass the word, grab someone from one of our amazing assisted living communities that may need a ride to actually get them out and get them out there as well. I do want to applaud, and I'm quite sure the mayor will touch on this, so I won't steal his thunder. But our Lanier cluster of schools, everybody know how near and dear they are to me. But Lanier High School, there was a recent announcement that Lanier High School had last year in 2024 had a graduation rate of 95.1%, which is amazing, which improved from previous year of 89.3%. So that is such an amazing accomplishment by Dr. Martin and his administration and his team. But also not just at the high school level, that starts at our elementary levels and actually go all the way through our middle school level. So I applaud all of the work that our cluster principals are doing, but also in the North Gwinnett cluster as well. They're doing such an amazing job over at the North Gwinnett cluster, so super appreciative and thankful for them. And other than that, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. And before I move on to Mr. Anderson, is there anybody that's standing that would like to sit? This is going to be a long meeting. I would encourage it. If you have an empty seat, if you have a purse or something in your seat, if you could move it and let people sit down, it would be fantastic and courteous. Anybody else want to sit? Thank you all. Mr. Anderson, you're up next.
Thank you, Mayor. The Riverlands Authority did not meet in October. We'll pick up that committee up in November to echo what Councilmember Hicks said. I was out early Friday morning, encountered our marshals, our street department, our recreation staff out working to clean up the city. Thankfully, we were spared the brunt of it, and unfortunately for those in Northeast Georgia and into the Carolinas who suffered some pretty terrible situations. And I want to say thank you to the North Gwinnett Co-op, who has been doing a great drive for those folks and supporting those folks in Augusta and Points North. They've done a great job. And of course, we're getting close to the holiday season. So as you consider your giving, please consider the North Gwinnett Co-op. They've got a lot of opportunities to give and give back to the community. Other than that, that's all I've got. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Ms. Avery, you're up next.
I had also had it in my report to say thanks to the street department for all their hard work after Hurricane Helene in September. I had talked to Bobby and Braden in the street department. They got a 3 a.m. phone call, so their day started especially early. My street had 2 large trees that fell in the road, and they were able to get some of those branches down, not all of them since they took down power lines, but they were able to get some down before Georgia Power got there, and I really appreciated the street department help. Several areas of Sugar Hill benefited from the efforts of our street department, and along with everyone on the council, I really appreciate their efforts. I would also like to say best wishes to the newest market in town, the European Taste, which is near the Homespun restaurant. This international grocery store is a great addition to our city, and I wish them much success. If you are wanting to try something from Europe, that would be a great place to look for it. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. Mr. Page?
Sure, thank you. In the interest of time, I'll keep it short. I will echo what pretty much everyone else has said about our street department. Thank you for our wonderful city staff who really started early. They started early. We were talking about it before the storm came in. Really appreciate the planning effort, and we are blessed that it didn't hit Sugar Hill as it was intended to hit. So really appreciate the planning part and just our staff in general. So with that, I'll finish my report.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Everything that I would have said has mostly been said, which is completely and totally fine, and I appreciate all of y'all and your reports. And so I'm just going to move on to the city clerk for her report.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware that Monday, November 11th is Veterans Day, and City Hall and the city offices are closed. So the council meeting for November will be Tuesday, November 12th. So make a note of that. We have several positions still available on a city's website. The employment application is there as well. We did 115 passports in the month of September. In order to book a passport appointment, you can do that on our website as well. So, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. Mr. Basesh is our acting city manager tonight. Your report is up next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the interest of time, I'll call attention to the management report, which is in the back of the room. Hopefully, there are copies remaining. If not, we can direct you to our website or provide one for you. I also want to call attention to an event coming up this weekend. It's a big event for the city of Sugar Hill, which is our Sugar Rush Arts Festival, and it begins on Friday and goes through the weekend, so I encourage you to come back out to downtown and experience that.
Thank you for the report. Next up, and certainly the one I look forward to the most is our youth council. How are you? And also our Lanier High School homecoming king for the year. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. For the Youth Council, like Alvin already said, we had our mixer with city staff. It was just amazing to see what makes our city run, and they're actually a lot smaller than you'd think. There'd be some departments made up of less than 10 people, and they're in charge of everything that runs in the city, from gas and plumbing to parks and rec. And so we want to thank all the city staff that was able to make it. We thank you guys very much. We're very appreciative. And also our city managers that are acting. Thank you, Troy. For Sugar Rush this weekend, our youth council will be there volunteering. It's a very fun event. Last year we had our own booth, but this year we're going to be helping out other booths around the city. And so we encourage everyone who's here, please come this weekend. It's a very fun event. Walk the streets and enjoy the vendors. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for y'all's service. All right, next we will move on to citizens and guest comments, and this is an opportunity for anybody to speak what's on their mind about the city. I do know that there are a lot of people here that wish to speak on the bridge, and this would be the appropriate time to do that. Each individual that comes up has up to 3 minutes to speak, and our city attorney and city clerk, they will time that and watch that for me, and we have plenty of time. So is there someone here that wishes to speak? Yes, sir. And if everybody could, when they come up, just give their name and address for the record, and we appreciate that.
Tom LeBlanc, 809 Whitehead Road. If these pedestrian bridges are so critical, why are there not more of them, particularly in front of the Mall of Georgia? I'm aware of one in the entire county in Peachtree Corners. What, if any, truly objective studies have been conducted regarding the use of that bridge and correlated reductions in pedestrian incidents versus using crosswalks or simply driving across the street? Next comment. Occasionally, special events draw a lot more pedestrian traffic crossing Highway 20. Our marshals can handle that just fine using the existing crosswalks. I've seen them managing local school traffic just fine. Now, some things from the city's recent bridge construction award memo. Quote, a critical segment for safe pedestrian passage across the road for the 2,700 beneficiaries north of Highway 20 and about 3,000 south of the road, or nearly 20% of the city's population of 28,000. So, what percentage of these beneficiaries will actually make the long walk across the bridge rather than use the much more convenient crosswalks or just cross the street in their cars? Citing simple population numbers, is an illogical argument. There's also some language regarding slowing down traffic nearby to accommodate additional pedestrian crossings. Slowing down traffic in the area was clearly not a concern when the Stanley Street light was installed. In fact, I seem to remember a certain councilman posting something about how he didn't care that people passing through would be inconvenienced. And all of this extra traffic was clearly of no concern when the massive explosion of apartments and townhomes were approved. Now all of a sudden it matters? More from that memo. It also communicates the sense of arrival to a unique place with the message of genetic strands that give Sugar Hill its own DNA. The ribbons also hint at our walkable, vibrant greenway, as well as the hills that are often claimed to be the hill where the sugar spilled. Oh boy. Okay, so from the 27 master plan update describing the bridge, iconic feature, major landmark, stunning skyline view of the apartments, yay, downtown highway with a signature pedestrian experience, and something I saw recently which appears to be an opinion of a councilman. This will become yet another beautiful structure that will no doubt be a selected location for photos in another way that residents and businesses will identify with our city. And so here we see the true intent of the bridge, a $7 million gateway sign, and we all know how much the city loves to overspend on its gateway signage. Complete waste of money. New council members, remember your campaign promises. Vote it down. There are much better uses for that money that will benefit far more people in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc. And I'll encourage people to keep their comments in the audience down. This isn't a pep rally. We're trying to receive input from people. Yes, sir. Please give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Daryl Pruitt. I live at 5415 Sycamore Road. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for this opportunity. I want to talk about 3 reasons that I believe this pedestrian bridge would be a great idea, 3 reasons that I'm in favor of it. First of all is connectedness. I'm on Sycamore Road, which is on the north side of Highway 20, and all the cool stuff in the city is on this side of Highway 20. I'm a big walker and hiker, and I love the Greenway, but the only way that I can get to the Greenway is on my car. I could walk, but I have to cross Highway 20 on foot. I don't know if you've tried to do that, but it's a good way to raise your blood pressure if you want to get it up a little bit higher. Hopefully everybody will see that I'm there and will obey the pedestrian traffic laws and not run me over. Connecting this, people on the north side, there's a lot of people on the north side of town. The pedestrian bridge would be one way for us to be and feel more connected to the rest of our city. Second reason I'm in favor of the pedestrian bridge is safety, which is an obvious one. There's many things we could talk about with that. I'll just pick events. Since the Sugar Rush is coming up, we have a lot more parking than we used to. Thank you, members of the council, for that. But there are times during the events when we need extra parking. Sugar Hill Church is gracious. Let us use their parking lot, but there again, you have to walk on foot across Highway 20. You have families with small children, elderly people trying to cross Highway 20. That can be problematic. The pedestrian bridge would be a safe option for those people to come into our city and enjoy the events that we have here. The third reason I'm in favor of the pedestrian bridge is family. My wife Vicki and I have 3 children, and they've blessed us with 5 wonderful grandchildren. They're 12, 5, 2, 1, and 2 weeks. And my grandchildren love to come to the city. We actually call it the city. When I say, you want to go to the city? They're ready to go. There's so much fun things that they can do and enjoy. I'm really looking forward to be able to walk them across this pedestrian bridge, let them see the city from that angle, see the cars going underneath it. I think it will be a fantastic thing for them to enjoy, and I hope that one day they'll be able to walk their grandchildren across that pedestrian bridge and have just as much fun and enjoyment. I've only lived in Sugar Hill for 9 years, but I've been coming to Sugar Hill for over 41. My wife Vicki is a native here, born and bred. Her mother has lived here for almost 80 years, since 1945. She was a little girl. My wife Vicki's grandfather was the 3rd mayor of Sugar Hill. Her brother lives here. Our children spent a lot of time here as they were growing up, visiting their grandparents. They still come around Sugar Hill a lot. As I've just mentioned, we have grandchildren, and that is generation number 5 that has an emotional connection to Sugar Hill. We love Sugar Hill. Our family loves Sugar Hill. And I believe that we want Sugar Hill to be as great a city as it can be, and in order for that to happen, we need a bridge.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Right on time. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Please give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yes, Ifeanyi Michuku, address 1000 Old Spring Way. I won't keep this long. I just want to say that I think I am definitely for the bridge, only because I moved to Sugar Hill March this year, and I've seen the growth and revolution in which Sugar Hill is growing. And people my age, around 20 and 30, they visit me all the time and go around Sugar Hill. They always say Sugar Hill is modernized and become so much bigger than it has before. And I think building the bridge will only give it more potential. And I've seen the other cities like Duluth, Loganville, Lilburn, every other city is growing, but I think the way Sugar Hill is growing rapidly only gives it more potential and gives it a vaster majority for it to be even better than what it was before and probably be the best city in the state of Georgia. And I think building the bridge is only one step into making that happen. So that's my take.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Yes, my name is Babs Grimes. I live at 799 Whitehead Road. I'll be very brief. I retired after 35 years with the Federal Aviation Administration and know about budgets and money, and I also know about return on investment. I don't see the return on investment for the millions that would be spent for this crosswalk across the 20. From personal experience, I have crossed 20 10 to 12 times a week for the last 4 years. I walk my grandson, I'm sure you've probably seen me in my pushing the orange stroller across 20. For 4 years, Monday through Friday, I take him and I pick him up. I cross it like back and forth multiple times, pushing my 2-year-old grandson. Have no problem in the crosswalk, obeying the lights. It's much shorter to cross that way. Again, he goes to school at Sugar Hill Preschool. I have walked him across that for my grandkids for the last 4 years and had no problem whatsoever. I just don't think the return on investment that we will see from the millions you would spend on that pedestrian bridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grimes. Next. Welcome, sir. Please give your name and address for the record.
My name's Bob Gardner. I don't live in the Sugar Hill area. I teach at Lanier High School, and I'm representing the cross-country team. And just speaking for the high school and our middle school program, since the middle school is able to do cross-country now, the benefits are overwhelming for us to have a crosswalk, because if y'all are building a greenway on both sides now, cross-country needs mileage, and we need safe miles. And for us to be able to cross, no offense, I'm responsible for 20, 30, 40 kids, depending on the year, and I really don't want them having to cross over a busy road. I have great kids, but a bridge would benefit them for that safety reasons. Right now, I go to Swanee because they have connectability and they have a long greenway. And if I can use it here, I've used it from EE in the areas they've built down here, and it's awesome. The kids love it, and we're able to benefit from using that. But if we can use a bridge going across 20 and add more mileage, the benefits are overwhelming. And if we can make this a running community, it's only going to benefit not only me as a coach, but the schools for health reasons and everything else that can be done. So, I mean, it's a lifelong skill. You can run. I'm 60 and I can still run. So the more people we get involved in running, the better off we be as a community. Thank you all very much.
You look great for 60, by the way. Thank you for leading and mentoring our kids, too. I know the cross-country program is really popular, so. Yes, sir, of course, Mr. Please just give your name and address. That's just part of our process.
799 Road. I'm a tax-paying resident of the city of Sugar Hill. On the bridge, the city or government has just spent a lot of money putting in new crosswalks, new signage, new lights at Stanley. So that's done. They're concerned about returning $3 million for the COVID money that they have to spend. Is one of the objections of them spending money now on this bridge. I'm sure the people in North Carolina would love to have that money returned to the federal government. Or that money could be spent on the budgeted roundabout improvements or the sidewalks on Sugar Hill that we've been promised for years, and nothing has developed. The $7 million has increased from $6 million to $7 million, and like most of the projects in this city, it gets done at that dollar amount, and they come back in 6 months and say, oh, we have to spend another $1 million to finish it, fix this to fix that. This bridge will be the city's monuments to incompetence, ignorance, and arrogance. That's my comments on the bridge. The Whitehead Road project, on-street parking on Whitehead, 40 to 50 mile an hour speed, not a speed limit, but it's a 25 mile an hour speed limit that people constantly do 40 and 50 on.
Mr. Grimes, can you say the road name again? I apologize. Cut it.
Road.
Got it.
Whitehead Road projects, rezoning projects, and the development.
You're welcome to make comments now, but I would encourage you to make comments during the public hearing for that action.
I asked if it was the appropriate time, you said yes.
But I had no idea what your items were, sir, so I would have been kind enough to tell you if you had been more specific. Thank you. I can't read your mind, but I do my best in the future. Thank you.
Jay Patillo, 1910 Primrose Park Road. Previously of 854 Stevens Oak Drive. I say that to let you know I'm currently in my home for 5.5 years, but I've been a Sugar Hill resident for a little over 18 years. I've been here a long time. When my wife and I were ready to move, we only looked at homes in Sugar Hill. We were absolutely convinced that Sugar Hill was moving in the right direction with all of the building you were doing. The Greenway, we've been coming to the Greenway planning meetings since well before you broke ground. We've always been in favor of it. We are using the Greenway now. We love it. And we are grateful of the idea of putting in a pedestrian bridge. We're totally in favor of it. We are walkers, hikers, runners, cyclists, and we have started using this Greenway. I will tell you that when we want to do something that requires a longer length, we are going outside of our community. We are going either to the Silver Comet, we're going to the Ivy Creek Greenway, we're going to the, what's the one in Alpharetta either way. My point is Big Creek, yeah. My point is when we go to those greenways, when we are done, that's where we're having dinner, that's where we're having lunch, that's where we're having our cocktails, that's where we're doing our shopping. We are very much in favor of having the Greenway here so we don't have to go out of town. We're very much looking forward to bringing others that will add to our tax base. So for safety reasons, for family-friendly reasons, for ROI, bringing in tax dollars, we are very much in favor of it, and we are grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Next. Welcome.
Mayor and Council, thank you. Jennifer Thatcher, 5460 Silk Oak Way, Sugar Hill. It's a pleasure, thank you. Consistent with much of what you've heard tonight, I am in favor of the pedestrian bridge. Not only does it unify both sides of this giant river that splits our city in half, it unifies the people that live on both sides of those. Someone spoke about that earlier tonight. It provides access to the Greenway, which is one of the highlights of our community. We have made it that way. It is also going to provide that final connector loop back over to the river, the Riverlands project, and finally to the National Park Service, where they connect all of our greenways together. So to the gentleman that spoke before me, it is a great addition to make sure that we stay connected on both sides. Additionally, it connects the development on both sides of our highway. It gives us the opportunity to get rid of some of the blighted properties that are on the north side of our city that are very unsightly as you come in. It gives the opportunity to connect the restaurants that are on this side with the people that are on that side. It gives the opportunity to connect the restaurants that are going to be built on that side with the people on this side and makes us a more cohesive community. Others have talked about safety. I think safety is obviously important. I've crossed across from Sugar Hill Church in that walkway. I've crossed at Stanley Street. Yes, crosswalks are lovely, and they work when they work. But this was always part of the vision for the city. And had it been done back when it was originally intended, we would have a pedestrian tunnel just like Swanee has. I've heard someone mention Swanee, that they don't have to have a bridge to connect their greenway. No, they don't, because they have a tunnel that goes under their street. Had this been done 20 years ago when it was originally intended, before 20 was widened, we wouldn't be having this discussion today. Safety is important, connectivity is important, and walkability is one of the things that draws people to our city and is going to keep people here in our city. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Thatcher. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Jack Wolf, 5510 Brighton Rose Lane, Sugar Hill, Georgia. You know, I'm definitely in favor of the bridge, and in my mind, you know, we moved to Brighton Park in 2006. We were the sixth owner that moved in there. I'm not sure how people felt about Brighton Park, to be honest with you. I guess I didn't come to those meetings, but I'm sure people liked it, or maybe people didn't. But I'm glad that we're in Brighton Park and we're in the city limits of Sugar Hill, and we have a wonderful community there of 78 homes. You know, for me, the bridge, I love the idea of the bridge. It's, you know, the city of Sugar Hill has gone from let's live in the suburbs to let's live in a community. You know, a lot of times suburban life is just isolated people going to their homes, closing the door, and not really having that connectivity. But everything that you guys have done have been about bringing connectivity to every family that lives in Sugar Hill. Kids, the splash pad, the bowl, the theater. I mean, on and on and on it goes. It's not just a place that you come and go to work, come home, go to bed. But here's a place that you can have fun. And the people that I meet and that I'm in fellowship with live in my community here. They're not just strangers, and I love it when I have the opportunity to do that. I've watched people struggle when I'm coming to the concerts and stuff to try to get across the street from the Sugar Hill Church. And it looks like a little Frogger game going on up there, watching people. And I know they have lights and all that, but it's still so much more dangerous. And then, you know, if I lived across over there, I would love the fact that I've got the connectivity to be able to walk, not have to drive my car, but walk across the bridge, come to a community event, and walk back home instead of worrying about parking spots being taken up. And you've got that livability, that connectivity that I think is so important. And, you know, so I think it will benefit everybody. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. Of course it does. But anybody here that's ever worked in your house, here's what you know. It cost more than you thought, and it took longer than you thought. But you did it because it was going to benefit your family. And I think this will benefit the community of Sugar Hill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Welcome. Please give your name and address for the record.
Marla King. I live at 510 Emerald Parkway. I've been a resident of Sugar Hill for 29 years. I'm speaking to you, and I'm speaking to you.
Ma'am, we don't speak to the audience, and that's in our rules. And just speak to us. Yeah, absolutely they can.
So the people behind me, I can't look at you, but I just want to say to you that these 5 people up here are going to make a decision tonight, not you. And the quorum...
Ma'am, when you speak, you're addressing City Council, and that keeps order during our meetings. It's really easy to be polite. You got it. And we also have a rule that you cannot call out specific council members, and so you can provide comments and you can still be kind, right?
Yep.
Yes.
This bridge will only serve a handful of people. It's long. It's a lot of concrete. It looks like Spaghetti Junction at I-85 and 285. How gorgeous is that now? Today it's filthy. It needs a paint job. It's coated with road grime. It's a maintenance nightmare, and the neighborhood around it is eroded. While it takes a few steps to cross a street, this bridge requires many extra steps to cross the street. It may be ADA compliant, but it's marginal. It can't serve the profound ADA citizen or the caretaker that's assisting them. It would only take someone to file a complaint to the U.S. Department of Justice stating it is a discriminatory to the ADA citizens, and this bridge could be shut down. It would cost more than $7 million to build this as it's submitted. It's not time for this bridge. More planning has to be done and more funding has to be allocated for it. It could be more attractive and more accommodating for everybody, not just your walkers and runners. The bids for this bridge came in at a real high price, $7 million. It's way over budget. The funding is supposed to come from ARPA and SPLOST funds, and they total below the bid amount. Where's the other $1 million coming from? I think we know, maybe the roundabout. But what about the overrun cost? Is this secretly a phase 1? Is there a phase 2 for an elevator later? This is what happened at Peachtree Corners. They built a bridge. Nobody uses it. And now they're in phase 2 because they're trying to get people to use it and putting elevators on it. And again, while it takes a few steps to cross this street, it requires many steps to cross over on that bridge. And I believe that's all I have. I do have one more thing to say. Our marshals that are hired by this city and receive a paycheck can help people cross the street during special events. They already are volunteering during their paid time over at Holcomb to play bingo over there. They could just as well help our people cross the streets. It's not time for this bridge, and it's not attractive. Take your time and build a pretty one that takes less steps to use. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. King. I see two people making it to the podium.
Mayor and Council, good evening. I'm Denise Hurl. I live at 115 Summer Breeze Glen in Sugar Hill. I've been a resident for 20 years. I'd like to speak in favor of the Highway 20 pedestrian bridge. I'm a cyclist. I ride over 100 miles a month on Gwinnett County roads, and I can tell you it is scary to cross 4- and 5-lane roads like Highway 20 and Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. It's not uncommon for multiple cars to go through a red light at these intersections. Even with a crosswalk, you cannot be sure if the first car will stop. So you wait until all the cars are stopped at the intersection, which then decreases your time to cross. Cars that are making right-hand turns at the red lights do not look for pedestrians or cyclists in the crosswalk. I've personally had quite a few close calls with a motorist making a right on red who barely slows to make the turn. When I cycle, I wear bright-colored clothing and have front and rear lights flashing on my bicycle. Even this does not always alert drivers to my presence. I can't imagine how a child on a small bicycle would just be invisible to a distracted motorist. With our beautiful greenway crossing Highway 20, I believe the pedestrian bridge is a necessary safety addition for our community. I would never consider pushing my grandson in his stroller across Highway 20 without a pedestrian bridge. The risk is just too high. So this is why I'm in favor of the Highway pedestrian bridge, and I thank you all for your service.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Bobby McGraw, one of the pastors across the street at Sugar Hill Church. And Mr. Mayor and Council, thanks for the time tonight. I just wanted to speak on my behalf and Pastor Chuck's behalf and many of our church team to say we are in support of the pedestrian bridge. We're super excited about it. When I first moved to Sugar Hill 16 years ago, one of the things that I've always loved about this city is that, yes, it's a growing city, but somehow it's one of the few cities that has held on to the heart of Mayberry. It's a city that still cares about people, it still cares about community, and it still cares about making connection. And so when we think about the bridge from a church perspective, we think it's a gift to our community. Our church is about 138 years old. We've got generations of our church that were part of that founding. They're descendants of that. And so we've always loved the city. And so when I think about the bridge, I don't just think about the logistics of connecting two places, but I think about it connecting people. Every single Sunday, we have hundreds and hundreds of families, and to see people crossing from this side of the road to our side and vice versa, some of our team that likes to come over here for lunch or coffee, they talk about the Frogger type approach of trying to get across. And so we just believe that it makes perfect sense from a safety perspective. We think it makes a lot of sense for our citizens to be able to enjoy what's coming on the other side of 20 and what's here in the Greenway. But we also think it's not just an investment today, but literally an investment for generations to come. And so we can't wait for it. We are in support of it, and we thank you for your vision and your leadership in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor McGraw. Yes, we've got a couple of people, I think, that want to come up and speak. Yes, sir.
Just very briefly, I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I live on that side of Highway 20. I am not able to use that bridge.
If you don't mind, I know your name and address. No worries.
1464 Forest Path Lane. I'm not able to use that bridge. I know a lot of people my age are not going to be able to walk down the hill, go up over the bridge, and come to this side. It's going to be a whole lot easier if I can get to Highway 20 to cross up there. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, and not well thought out. And I'm asking the 3 city councilmen that I elected last year to honor their word.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Stedman. I just want to remind everybody, we have rules, and you, again, you can comment and you can be polite, but don't threaten people. We're here to listen. So let's treat everybody well, okay? Yes, ma'am. Please give your name and address for the record.
554 Emerald Lake Lane. I'm a 30-year resident of Sugar Hill. I am not in favor of this bridge. I'm not quite sure where it starts, where it ends, but for something to only benefit from some of the statistics that I've seen, that it's only going to benefit about 20% of the residents, I'm not going to benefit from it. We live down by the Publix. People, you know, from right about here, from downtown, that's all it's going to benefit. You're talking about a project that has a 17% overage right now. So you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. You're going to take money from another project to dump it into this project that doesn't appear to me that it's very well thought out. So it's one of the reasons why I'm seriously considering moving out of Sugar Hill after 30 years, because some of the projects, all of the major apartment complexes, you know, we did have an election and incumbents got voted out, and they got voted out for a reason. About spending like drunken sailors again.
Ma'am, I'll say this again. We can make comments and we can be polite, okay? It's really easy. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
James January, 1282 Frontier Drive, Sugar Hill. I am absolutely opposed to this bridge. I think it is a ridiculous waste of money. First of all, when someone mentioned ROI earlier, I think that's a great point. What is the return? Frankly, it's minimal at best. Who will it benefit? A small fraction of the citizens of Sugar Hill. Yep, there will be times when special events and things like that, it's going to be a little bit tough getting across 20, but we've been doing that for years now, right? People have been crossing 20 for special events for a good number of years now, no problem. We have a great marshal staff who can assist when there are special events and getting people across 20. When it comes to ADA, the ramps on that bridge are a joke. My wife's in a wheelchair. There's absolutely no way I'm going to get her up those ramps across the bridge and then down the other side. She took one look at the picture of that thing and she said, there is no way in Hades that's happening, okay? The other thing too, when it comes to cyclists, one thing about it, when you mix cyclists and pedestrians, you're asking for trouble. Everybody talks about risk and safety. The last thing you need is somebody come ripping across that bridge on a bicycle when you've got somebody in a wheelchair trying to get down that thing and, you know, not knowing what's coming up behind them. All in all, I see absolutely no reason for this bridge. That money can well be spent elsewhere, including where it should have been spent, is in making the improvements to Stanley Street that should have already been done to make that safer for traffic going through that intersection.
Thank you, Mr. January. Thank you for always being polite. Always. Yes, sir. Please give your name and address for the record.
John Smith, 939 Pinedale Terrace.
First of all, I hope I speak for about half the people in the room. I appreciate everything you guys do. It's got to be a tough job, but the planning for the growth is just something that is new to Sugar Hill, as other cities have dealt with it in the past. So thank you. But I look at it as a business decision. I would look at it as an investment rather than an expense. You're going to spend the money either way, but is it an investment in the community for the future, or is it an expense just to get something off the books now? I appreciate everything you've done with the Greenway. That is just very progressive. We continue to grow and attract different people for diversity within the community, and I think that's a great asset as well. So I don't have a lot of statistics or facts. I just speak from the heart, not the head, and just ask that you do consider the bridge as we continue to grow as a community, to welcome all ages into this community as we grow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, welcome, sir.
Good evening, not afternoon. My name is Greg Mendoza, and I live at 986 Whitehead Road. I support the bridge. I'm 74 years old, and I walk about 14 miles a week in order to stay healthy. I used to walk 25 miles before per week. My wife, she walks 25 miles a week. And the fact that we love Sugar Hill, it's built so beautiful, well-developed and everything, I believe we should support it. And I will tell you one reason why. Because in 1 year or 2 years, I won't be able to walk too fast. And if I have to cross the street, you will have to call the sheriff to stop both sides of the road so I can go right across. So I support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza. You may give that to the city clerk. Welcome, sir.
I'll claim him. That's my dad. My name is... That wasn't a threat to anyone, what he said. My name is Josh Mendoza. I'm across the street from my parents at 986 Whitehead Road. And I've said this before, we moved here because of the plan. We moved here 16 years ago, and I saw that bridge in the plan. I saw the downtown in the plan. I get really excited about everything happening here. And so I'm asking you to follow through with that plan. There's a reason why we decided to build here on Whitehead Road with our family. And we have 3 boys. One's about to turn 13 tomorrow, 11-year-old and an 8-year-old, and we walk a lot. We walk 3 miles today. We walk, and they ride their bikes. I have a 13-year-old, believe it or not. We don't give cell phones. But we actually look for activities that are outside, that are, we can connect to people, and we can go and exercise around town. So we ask that you support it. Thanks.
Thank you, Junior. Welcome, sir.
Jeff. Jim Iyer, 10 Glen Lake Parkway. I'm just here. We were here before you last month with the retail project across the street, here to support the bridge. We've heard a lot about connectivity. Being from Norcross, we've got the same impediment that you do. We've talked about a number of ways to get across Beaufort Highway in Norcross, and it's just a difficult situation without a bridge. I also like to compliment staff. I mean, reading through the report, they have worked to get the budget within reason for the type of project that they're undertaking. Also, this is supported with funds from outside the general fund, so they have found funding sources from a number of places to make this bridge happen. And finally, as the property owner on the north side of the bridge, we're here to support you in any way. I know there's some connectivity work that we need to work out to get to the church in one direction and get up Stanley Street in the other direction, and we're here to provide that support, and over the next year or so work through how all those various pieces and parts on the north side. But the connectivity is something, and we've heard, I'll kind of leave you with, we've heard a lot about return on investment. Public works projects, that's a very difficult thing to calculate. The example that I've heard used is how do you calculate the return on investment on a swing in the public park? You just can't do it. There's not a number you can put to it. This is something that's going to benefit the community long term, and it's something that we support and will help to the extent we can make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir, welcome.
I'm Derek Dill, 1320 Stanley Street. I'm with Novair Group. We're the multifamily developer that's developing Conclave Sugar Hill that should be wrapping up in the next few months. We're also co-developing the retail land with Ackerman & Co., and we're set to respectively start that project in the next 3 or 4 months. But we're here. I mean, for us, we're in complete support for the project. It's obviously part safety, part connectivity to downtown. We feel like our project, 300-plus units, Presswick's projects, 300-plus units, the hundreds and hundreds of homes north of Presswick, the church, we believe there's going to be significant pedestrian traffic crossing 20, way more than what there is today. Special events or just regular traffic getting to retailers downtown. And yeah, we talk about return on investment and safety. Those don't go hand in hand. So we can't talk about numbers when we're talking about safe passage getting to both parts of 20. That's one thing. We're actively marketing the retail project, and retail tenants are very excited about the bridge. Everybody wants great tenants, 100% leased, and having a city landmark next to our retail project is important. And the brokerage community is excited, and we think we're going to have a great selection of tenants that can move in here when the project's completed. So yeah, I'm here on behalf of Jim Borders and Novair Group. We're in complete support of the bridge project.
Thank you for your comments. Next, Mr. Schultz. I know you're going to be polite.
I'm good. Trying not to turn around and point at anyone or call anyone out. Andrew Schultz, 5350 Windswept Trace, Sugar Hill, Georgia. Bottom line is, a couple people have made some of the comments I was going to make, but ARPA funds and SPLOSH funds and all that, that's all wonderful. But guess what? Those are all tax dollars. And where do they come out of? Our tax pockets, which are being taxed to death. Appreciate what you did with rolling back the millage rate. That was a bonus. But we still have to deal with these things. And there's plenty of things that we need done around here besides a bridge. I've heard a lot of people talk about walking or running or riding a bike, all of which I don't like running, but I love riding a bike, and Xavier loves riding a bike, and guess what? We cross 20 all the time. I've taught them how to do it. We do it safely. Never felt like I was going to die or anything like that. It can elevate your heart rate a little bit, but need a little bit of that every once in a while. And I'm 63 years old, but you aren't going to tell me I look good.
You don't look like you're 63, Mr. Schultz.
Anyways, I'll try and keep it lighthearted, but we really don't need this bridge. We know that. Another thing that's bugging me, and I want to bring it up when our Hillcrest or whatever we're going to talk about, this rezoning thing, but I'm having a problem with these trees down here that we own as a city. Are they city, and is it the people of the city's trees? How are we throwing these trees away so quickly to build a development? We need to change that sign. I've said it before. There's a tree on that, and there's a tree behind me. I'm not pointing, don't look. We're going to make it a stump now? What are we doing? That's the last little bit of Sugar Hill that's left, and it's killing me. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Amber Chambers, 809 Whitehead Road. I'm also the writer for Real Deal Sugar Hill, so I have already said a lot publicly about this pedestrian bridge. And in case anyone read any of that and was confused in the slightest, I am not for it. Not only does it cost a lot to put this thing up, and I think it'll cost more than what you're seeing tonight, it's going to cost money in perpetuity to maintain it, to police it, because you don't want a police no-go zone up there. Or we're going to hire another marshal to stroll across that bridge to make sure people are safe up there. So there are all kinds of costs that It's just like with every project I've seen from you in 5.5 years, we're going to talk about the cost of putting it up. We're not going to talk about what it costs year after year to take care of it. We already have a little bit of a problem taking care of our infrastructure. We have spent a lot of time in the last year talking about paving our roads, which have problems. So now we're going to add another thing to the inventory that we've got to take care of. As far as the safety, I didn't really want to talk much about it, but I will say, I go down to Buford Highway, Doraville. I see ladies with baby buggies, toting kids by the hand, coming across Buford Highway. They have that crosswalk where you push the button and you get that flashing red for a certain period of time. If we've got people down there, and I know there were fatalities down there, I think the fatalities were before they got those flashing lights. And now you just see ladies hustling. I don't understand how people are having so much easier of a time crossing Buford Highway, and up here they're just struggling to get across. Maybe they need to ask Babs for some advice. She seems to get across just fine. Maybe she can help some of the rest of you who are experiencing challenges with that. The other thing I want to talk about is just these courtesy rules. I know that we have one rule in the charter that says people get 3 minutes for public comment. I am not aware, I've asked around for other rules. What I see is people being chastised for not following the rules if they disagree with the government, and then I am seeing sometimes people do the same thing and not being chastised. Could you please do us the courtesy of writing these rules down and publishing them in advance so that we all know what the rules are? I think that's only fair.
Yes, ma'am. They were adopted in 2021, and they were signed by Gary Perkle.
Okay.
And I'm glad to give them to you.
Okay.
And it's really simple. The only thing that I'm asking is that you be courteous to people. It's really very, very simple. And the purpose of that is so that when you have meetings where people might be a little upset, if you follow the rules, it kind of calms people down just a little bit. I've never been rude to anybody, but a lot of people that have spoke have been rude to us. And so, Ms. Chambers,
I would like to just say, I think if you would like to calm the temperature of the room down, I would ask that you kind of take stock of your behavior. Take stock of it. Get yourself first.
sounds great, and I'm glad you got all that recorded, so I appreciate your comments. Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, Jessica Daniels, 5872 Sycamore Ridge Drive. So I guess I just had kind of a question almost. I was reading the Parks and Rec, the month in review, and it said the bridge design is complete. And in the last council meeting, like last week, you guys were talking a little bit about sort of changing the look of the bridge a bit, because it's going to be like, if it's put in, it's going to be sort of the gateway to the city, right? And to me, it just looks a little bit sort of blocky and a little unattractive. I thought if we could streamline it, make it prettier. I know in the Envision 100, there was a concept art of the bridge, and it's like significantly different, the new design. The old design was just prettier. And I don't know if that's just because to make it ADA compliant or whatever, but I guess that was just sort of my thoughts. But thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts, comments. Anybody else? Welcome. Please give your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Weiland. My address is 5623 Riverside Walk Drive. Bridges connect people. We get it. Thank you. So do ADA compliant crosswalks and well-maintained sidewalks. The pride and joy in the Greenway is wonderful, but in my opinion, I don't believe that we should be using $7+ million that could add much needed improvements to the city for all residents instead of a project disregarding the disabled, the non-active, or the healing within your community. I have spent over 20 years living in Sugar Hill and my entire life with an emotional connection, but there is no intelligence in watching your beloved city turn into a metropolis that serves no one but certain managers' salaries and those hand in hand with the engineering firms. Pastors change, businesses sell their properties, and niceties agreements change as well. To even mention the addition of parking is deceptive. All of this rushed in order to use federal funds with a fast approaching deadline. Federal funds that our city has chosen to set back for years without community approval. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to make a comment? Mr. January, you've already made a comment, and I'm going to give priority to other people, but we'll wrap around back to you at the end, okay? Yes, sir?
Steve Bresley, 119 Grand Loop Road. I'm hugely in support of this bridge. I'm a member of the Frogs. It's just community members in support of the Greenway. The Greenway has been such a great asset to the community, as with everything else. The Greenway has allowed people, I've been part of the beginning stages of the Greenway, where the goal has always been to connect the community. It is doing that. We've all seen all the residents out on the Greenway, enjoying the Greenway. There's no dollar who can, who can't. It's doing its purpose. This bridge would continue that. I'm on the far side of Sugar Hill. I'm going to benefit from this bridge. I look forward to it. The Greenway has actually got me well-needed exercise, been doing a little mountain biking on the Greenway. It's been great. It's been able to get me back in shape. There's a friend that just moved in across the street. I told her about it. Belinda, she is looking forward to being able to go to the restaurants that's going to go across the way. Those that are over there are going to come over here. Yes, you can cross Highway 20, but as the populations and the area develops, Highway 20 is going to get more and more traffic, more flow. This is planning for the future. Our Greenway is planning for the future. We always have maintenance, but this, I think, is a well-thought. As has been pointed out, it's been in the plans for the city for many years, 2 decades. This is just continuing what the goal for the city has been. I think it's a great thing. I'm in huge support of it, and I think it's a plus for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anybody else?
Mark Daniels, 5872 Sycamore Ridge Drive. I just wanted to make one comment on the bridge that I don't know that anybody's addressed thus far. With Highway 20 being widened both on the Buford side and on the Cummings side, it's only a matter of time before they want to widen the area here in Sugar Hill. Have we developed this bridge with regards to that widening potentially coming down the line? Because I don't want to have to put up a $7 million bridge, $8 million bridge, and then just have to have it torn back down when they want to widen 20. So just food for thought.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wishes to? Yes, sir, Mr. January.
Mr. Daniels just stole one of my comments, but it's a great comment, though. It is a great thought, because that's going to happen. It should have happened when they were widening in the first place. The other thing I'll make this suggestion, if you will. Maybe we should table this thing. We've heard a lot of comments from several developers about what a benefit this is going to be to them and their businesses and their customers and things. Maybe that should have been part of the process all along. If they think this is such a great idea, let's offer them the opportunity to put their money where their mouth is and chip in some money to help get this thing built if we're going to build it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. January. Anybody else before we close out public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Mason Rosel at 5007 Oak Grove Drive, Sugar Hill. My family loves Sugar Hill, and we love the Sugar Hill Greenway. I've got a little bit of a unique perspective in that I use the Sugar Hill Greenway at least 5 times a week, twice a day, to get my kids to and from school safely. When my kindergartner, who's now in 3rd grade, started, there were 3 families at Sugar Hill Elementary that walked their kids to school. Today, at drop-off and pick-off, there's between 75 and 100 students. And the only difference, other than time passing, was the Sugar Hill Greenway being developed along that route. The time that I get with my kids during those daily walks are invaluable, and I hope that more moms and dads get to enjoy the same thing, because I think that those investments daily will certainly have a lot of ROI in those families. 6 years ago, myself and several other community members, some of whom are in the room, were part of the start of the Sugar Hill Running Club. This club meets 2 or more times a week to run, walk, cycle, and most importantly, connect other community members to meet one another and enjoy a common interest. Thanks to the Sugar Hill Greenway and the service of amazing community members like Angie Jenkins, who's in the room, There are now over 1,700 members of the running club on Facebook, and Sugar Hill is also now home to over 15 5Ks, 10Ks, and half marathons every year. When we think of community investments like the pedestrian bridge, I'd like to ask council to kind of reflect and ask yourself, are we focused on building for cars, or are we focused on building for people? For many young families and younger homeowners in coming to Sugar Hill, like my family, Sugar Hill's vibrant downtown, expanding greenway, and overall walkability are what attracted us to invest in buying a home here and putting down roots. When we moved here years ago, the plan for a pedestrian bridge had already been made, and the comprehensive plan and downtown master plan were what made us excited to, and continue to be excited to call Sugar Hill home. Many people probably didn't know until it was discussed tonight, but there's actually almost a mile of greenway completed already on the north side of 20. And without this bridge, it's going to be nothing more than kind of a locked out, isolated sidewalk. But the bridge will allow, as we heard other runners and walkers and just community members talk about, something that connects to points of interest. This bridge will be used for getting residents safely to and from youth basketball and volleyball games, fitness classes, $2 Tuesdays at the Eagle Theater, local school events like Picnic in the Park, Splash Night, concerts at the Eagle in the Bowl, ice skating rink, homecoming pictures, church gatherings, getting to and from school at Sugar Hill Church Weekday, where my youngest goes, to preschool and Great Beginning School, walking to play practice at the Children's Theater, community members accessing our downtown businesses, Sugar Rush, Farmers Market, to name a few other things. At the end of the day, in my humble opinion, this is a vote for or against public safety, as well as for or against the community's feedback and support of the planned 16.5-mile Sugar Hill Greenway as part of the Envision 100 comprehensive plan. Thank you for serving our city and helping ensure the next generation will love where we live as much as we do.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to make a comment? Yes, sir.
I think it needs to be pointed out that we've heard tonight from multiple people who serve on city-appointed development authorities to do the bidding of the city council who have spoken in favor of the bridge, including 2 former council members who were always in favor of everything that was done down here. So, and they don't ever disclose that, do they?
I'm not sure it's really relevant, but thank you for your comments.
It's relevant.
They live in the community and they have a right to voice their opinion just like you do and everybody else in here. And I want to say thank you for everybody that was bold enough tonight to come up and comment on either side of the issue. Is there anybody else that would like to speak before I close out the hearing? Yes, sir. Thank you.
North Fair, 5251 Regency Lake Court in Sugar Hill. I was not planning on talking tonight. I'm not I'm not connected to the city. My wife and I moved here because of the growth. We absolutely love the city. I think the bridge is a great idea. We just don't want to have to go to Beaufort or go to Swanee or go somewhere else to be able to eat, to be able to enjoy the city. I want to be able to come here, and I think a lot more people are going to move here as well when they see the growth. That's all I got to say. I mean, keep short and simple, but that's why I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else before I close it out? All right, I see no others wishing to comment, so we'll close out citizens and guest comments, and that item is not actually until closer to the end of new business, so we'll get to that later as City Council, but we'll go on to old business. Item number 1, Mr. Bissesh, are you going to handle that tonight?
I'm going to have planning staff introduce the item.
You got it. And before we start, just to let everybody know, we discussed at work session, City Council did, and we're going to increase the allotted time for this from 10 minutes to 15 minutes for each side, and we do have the discretion and the ability to do that. Everybody's still okay with that? Yes, sir. Thank you. Rebecca?
No, the mouse isn't either.
second one done too.
That works.
Thank you.
Jonathan, I did have someone request tonight to make sure that the overhead projector worked. Just please keep that in mind.
All right. Good evening. The request tonight is for a rezoning for 1036 and 1040 Whitehead Road. And the subject site located within this purple boundary that you see here. The request itself is to rezone the property from both AF, RS 100 and RS 150 to RS 100 and bring it into the central business district, thereby expanding the central business district boundaries themselves. What you've got here is in the red boundary is the site of the entirety of the property, and I'll discuss that to give you the context for the entire request that will also encompass follow-up processes such as an additional rezoning on city-owned parcels that will come subsequent to this process, and that rezoning is in the yellow boundary box there that you see, as well as a design review board approval that will be required on the entire site should the entire site be brought into the central business district. But again, the subject property located within that purple boundary. Here is the site plan for the entirety of the site, where the development consists of proposed uses, about 180 residential units, a mix of sizes, a mix of some attached, some connected with garages, some that are custom built. And these also scattered throughout the development, not kind of by phase, not the units aren't concentrated. What you'll also see in the site plan is kind of an external facing development. This development addresses all of the adjacent existing streets as well as the new streets that are added to the property. Some of the primary tenets of the development that are found and actually embodied within the comprehensive plan are connectivity. So Bailey Avenue being extended from the Tessa residential and commercial development to the north all the way through to Whitehead Road as a developer contribution for the project that contributes to the accessibility and the connectivity of the site, as well as kind of a spine street that connects all the way from West Broad Street into Bailey Avenue. And really the site plan kind of reflecting off of that, as well as addressing those existing streets. The green space and also the kind of amenity spaces scattered throughout the development really address and offer opportunities for community interactions and those green spaces that are sought after in the comprehensive plan itself. As well as the various housing options that are identified here and identified based on the different colors coded in the plan based on the house sizes and kind of unit types that are being proposed for each of these. So this is a very vibrant and cohesive extension of town center, and it really reflects the town center character area in the comprehensive plan. As an extension of the area that City Hall sits in and all of those commercial areas, really extending the commercial site with 7,500 square feet of commercial fronting on West Broad Street, as well as that signature park that is part of the proposed development as well. What we've got here in the red boundary box is the subject site, so that makes up about 54 units of the total. potential 180-unit mix. And again, within the subject site, that does contain not only a mix of various units, but also the primary amenity site for the project, a pool, pavilion, to serve the entire development here. And then this box shows you those future city sites that would be subject to those rezonings, as well as the city-owned parcels that are overlaid onto the site plan. So I'll give Troy just a moment to kind of speak to the cities.
Yeah, I think you alluded to the fact that the city currently has 2 parcels that will need to come into the central business district, and then the city has some interest as shown on the plan on the screen there. The intent behind the acquisition of those parcels was to provide some additional activation and redevelopment potential, and also to preserve and protect the champion tree. There are a couple of other interests the city has in this overall development, one of which is a master plan recommendation from the 2014 downtown master plan rewrite, which is to extend Bailey Avenue to connect to Whitehead Road. That was one of the recommendations out of that study. This accomplishes that, and also, again, accomplishes the development of a downtown park and green space preservation.
Thank you. A couple of last-minute thoughts on the site plan as a whole. The area identified there as a natural area is a proposed regional detention pond, and so that's making use of kind of the most efficient use of that land to be able to share that resource for stormwater detention from a best practice in kind of land use efficiency. This is the subject site again that outlines the number of units based on the site plan, as well as some representative architectural renderings for some of those properties, for some of those unit types. So this is Plan F. Another Plan F, both a site plan and elevation, as well as Plan A. And so those would be, full packages would be submitted for the design review process, but the applicant wanted to provide those as representative examples as the type of units that you'll see. Just wanted to briefly go through the application timeline since this has come to you a couple of times. It was heard first by Planning Commission in August and came before, they recommended tabling it. It proceeded through its normal course and came to City Council September 9th, where you remanded it back for Planning Commission. On the 16th, the Planning Commission recommended denial and communicated during that hearing process that they felt that there was not enough information still to make a decision. And so during that time, the applicant met with staff and provided all of the information that you see in your packets tonight and addressed all of staff's comments. So we do have the rezoning criteria for you. Staff has analyzed this in great detail in your staff reports, provided comprehensive plan excerpts and things to demonstrate kind of all of the components of the comprehensive plan that are being fulfilled with this site plan. And wanted to also note kind of within the village, the town center character area, there was the desire to maximize development potential within a 10-minute walk shed. And so really this exemplifies a source of a lot of that activity and really helps to define the place that we've heard a lot of folks talk about tonight as kind of wanting to bring visitors and define Sugar Hill as a place. This really helps build on the success that is already downtown and bring it further down West Broad and connect it to some of the activity that's already been approved on Bailey Avenue, and really start and continue that success in building on the comprehensive plan and the renewed commitment in Envision 100 to that comprehensive plan vision. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the request to rezone and expand the boundaries of the central business district. I will read into the record the recommended conditions. We do have a slightly altered one to address Councilmember Anderson's comment about wanting to help address some of the entitlements that already exist on some of the parcels there that are part of the greater boundaries of the project. And so I will read those for you now. The development shall substantially conform to the site plans, Exhibit 1 through 2, submitted with the application, particularly regarding its general features, placement, and alignments. However, alterations necessary to accommodate requirements from the design review process are permitted without additional Mayor and City Council approval, provided they align with the spirit and context of the approval as determined by the Planning Department. Said site plan shall be applicable to the master development, also containing parcels R7306, 015, 016, 017, 018, 019, 020, and 021. And number 2, at least 3 natural gas appliances shall be installed within each residential unit prior to a certificate of occupancy. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca. Excuse me, I had a strawberry candy in my mouth. Are there any questions, comments from City Council?
I have a few, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
If you could go back and display the site plan, a couple of questions on there.
Absolutely.
That, at least one of them looked like it might have been different than what we looked at before. Maybe you can clarify. You have one that just zoom in on one of those. Okay, so that area up at the top that says natural area, the map we saw before said amenity, and we had some questions about that, and that was described as a detention pond.
Yes, sir.
Is that still what this is now that it's been retitled?
Yes, it'll be the regional detention pond, but, the applicant can talk about it. It might be underground. It's just not been designed yet to understand exactly what it
If it
is.
had changed since the naming on it was different now. And second question, where it describes all the unit types to the right, B says 24 by 46 plus garage, 12 units. Does that imply that none of the others have garages? That's the way I read it, but I don't know if that's accurate. Are there garages on any of the other units? We don't know. Okay. And then following that up, if there's 180 units there, to me that translates to about 360 cars. You subtract the 12, that'd be 348 parking spaces needed, and it doesn't look like anywhere near that to me. Do you know what the parking space count is in there?
And I will say that unit count does not add up to 180. Right now, it's, I think, 172.
Okay,
so
fine.
that doesn't have all of them.
Do we know what the parking space count is in this illustration?
I don't have that number, no.
All right, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Any other questions before I open up the public hearing? All right, I hear no other questions. We will open up the public hearing, public comment portion of the item, and we will start with the first 15 minutes. We'll get to the, I see somebody raising their hand back there. There'll be an opportunity in just a few moments for public comment. We start with the first 15 minutes for those that are speaking in support of the project. Is the applicant here, and do they wish to come forward? Yes, please do. And Mr. Hartley is going to do the time for me.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to present for the rezoning. I'm David Smith. I'm with Hedgewood Homes, not a resident of Sugar Hill. I reside at 5665 Windy Ridge Drive in Atlanta. And I have with me the co-owners of Hedgewood Homes, Pam Sessions. Pam would be, and I would be presenting to you as briefly as we can some what we believe is pretty important information regarding our approach to what we're proposing this evening. We'd just like to run through with you part of our thought process of how we arrived at the plan and the reasons why we're interested in being here and being part of what we believe is a great community of Sugar Hill. So Pam's going to run through some of the information we have, and then we remain available here, obviously, to answer any questions after public comment. Councilmember Perkle, I apologize. One of the previous 3 or 4 hearings, and I did not bring those notes, regarding the parking, I want to say between the 2-car garages on the units that are shown with 2-car garages and the surface parking spaces, I did a count, and I believe it was around 350 total spaces, maybe between 350 and 400, again, including the 2-car garages, which most units have. There's, the parking's pretty well delineated. I just didn't have we didn't do a separate count. Part of the 350 to 400 total spaces, I do know for certain, based on what we're proposing as part of the master plan, the 7,500 square feet of commercial space, typically, you want to allocate 10 spaces per 1,000 for commercial space. So 75 spaces was the intent is for it to be allocated or designated for the commercial uses overall. So anyway.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm, as David mentioned, I'm Pam Sessions. I'm one of the owners of Hedgewood Homes. I live at 3400 Ridgewood Road Northwest in Atlanta. And I wanted to just be here to introduce Hedgewood a little bit to you. So I have some images because we've been building and developing a very long time, but the last 25 plus years we've been focused on placemaking, on community, on connections. So where we build we've started in villages. We realized very quickly that there are many wonderful downtowns in the Atlanta region, and we started working in those downtowns to provide whatever the community needed to a holistic approach of making better communities. So some of the imagery will, I hope, show some of the differences because we're very design driven. We very much care about the architecture. We want it to be as timeless as possible. We care about the streetscape. We set the houses back. We plant street trees. This first image is actually something we built 25 years ago, but it has only gotten better and has grown in value to the community as well as to the neighborhood itself. We care a lot about eyes on the street, eyes to the parks, the connectivity, how to connect people from their houses to the sidewalk to the park. So we have a focus on streetscape, on porches and amenities that bring people together with the street. Wherever we are, we're relating to where we are. So we have a thread of commonality in our design, but it's always unique to each place because each place has its personality. We just hope to add value to your already great place. We also design between the houses, and for parks and connectivity is very important to us. So we have neighborhood parks throughout, some small, some large, some active, some passive, but this is one example of one of those neighborhood parks. This is a park that the houses front on. And these are all places that we've built. This is a connection park, so there'll be pathways through the neighborhood so pedestrians can traverse, and it's not cutting through someone's yard. It's a designated beautiful path. benches, flowers. We put in large plants from the get-go, so our homes and neighborhoods feel established right away. We build a large variety of housing styles and choices because we know that cities have many, many lifestyles to accommodate, and we want to build places where grandparents and grandchildren can live next to each other, where young and old peacefully coexist and love to habitat. So we have large homes, smaller homes. We have different variety of styles, always focus on the landscape. These are the private gardens because we try to give each home a private garden as well as the neighborhood garden. So there's always an emphasis on gardening, on gates, on fountains, on features that make a lush neighborhood. We also are just as focused on the interiors, and we have a very personal process with each homeowner. They come into our design center and we work with them to make all of their selections. So we're doing everything from the land planning to the designing each home individually, to the development, to building the homes, specifying the homes, and providing the landscape and maintenance. We also have been building whole communities. So we've been building villages, restaurants, retail, YMCAs. All of these things have been part of our communities, so we're familiar with all types of building. And then, as you saw on the screen earlier, these are our first concepts for Sugar Hill. Obviously, we need direction to get very specific, but this is an example of the architectural variety and style. And then the homes themselves would all be varying in sizes. We're very market-driven, so we like the idea that if the market says we need more of these homes, we can adapt to that within the community. If they want to put two lots together and make a bigger home, we have the ability to do that because we're designing real time with each home. And as you saw, the site plan and the section that we are requesting the zoning. And I will say that we are here on behalf of the applicant as our desire would be to be a part of this wonderful city of Sugar Hill.
And I don't want to leave him out, but I thought it was important for you to meet us personally, even though it's in this forum. Pam's longtime partner, Don Donnelly, also co-owner. We are Hedgewood. We have a very lean team. We do react very decisively and respond to the market, which is why when we were first made aware of this opportunity, we started working on components that we've learned over the past 25 years that work with respect to placemaking in an existing great downtown district like Sugar Hill. As Pam mentioned, 25 years ago, we developed a greenfield known as Vickery, where we had to build the town, so to speak. And as Pam mentioned, we started discussions and conversations with other municipalities, Woodstock, Norcross, Alpharetta, Atlanta, multiple others. And in the ones I just named, we've actually designed and executed projects. And as Pam said, 25 years later, many of them are continuing to flourish. Values have increased pretty dramatically, and they've worked. And our whole goal and objective is to offer the best housing choice the city can offer to attract a wide variety of people and families. And that's why this works. But it also requires a lot of work, and we're geared to do that work to be able to move quickly to make decisions to accomplish the market, to respond to the market. We don't have a crystal ball. I mean, that's why we stopped years and years ago saying, okay, we're going to build 20 of these, 20 of these, 20 of these, take it or leave it. That's just not our approach. And that does work in some business models, but not for us. So I'll leave it at that. Reserve any time we may have remaining, and we respectfully request approval of this rezoning.
Thank you, sir.
We do have this opportunity. Thank you.
How much time do we have left, Mr. Hartley?
5 minutes and 24 seconds.
All right. Is there anybody else that wishes to come up and speak in support of the project? Yes, sir. And you were the one, I think, that wanted the overhead projector to make sure that it worked. And we won't start the time until we get the technology right, so. And if you could, sir, give your name and address for the record.
There's some. Pruitt, 5223 Sugar Ridge Drive. Jumping back on a couple things said there, cars and parking is done. What we build is not for us. My time is done. 5 years by the time this is built, 20 years when it's got beautiful trees, it's for our children and the next children. 20 years from now, you won't own a car. You might own one car like a RAV4 so you can go to Costco. The rest of it is Amazon Prime. I can have stuff in my house faster than I can get to Walmart and back. You laugh about not owning a car in 20 years. 25 years ago, I worked for Bell South. You guys didn't want cell phones, and now you don't have a home phone. The technology has passed us by. MARTA costs too much to come out here because it'll just be buses and whatever becomes a Tesla and Uber zip along, not even touching the steering wheel. Our family moved here because we knew this was being built. The live, work, play concept truly works. I've seen it in action in many areas, whether it's a new concept or anything built in the 1930s before cars enslaved us and made us, they own us. My wife said she gets a little giddy and proud when Sugar Hill is mentioned as a vibrant and desirable location and continuing to get better. The heart of these plans started in 2005 with a vision for a new downtown on what was a brownfield, a car lot, and a handful of obsolete homes. That foresight from those leaders in 2005 then has brought us here today to vote on this proposed development. The bulk of the core downtown has been realized. The retail shops, restaurants, and multifamily support them has come to fruition. Now it's time for the next phase. This is a fee-simple, for-sale project that will greatly complement what is already here. It is an assortment of sizes and designs from multiple budgets and needs, growing families, empty nesters, professionals who travel and want low maintenance. The current housing stock of Sugar Hill is aged and obsolete. And I don't mean to shame if anyone owns these homes or moved out of it or it's their grandfather's. The current housing stock of Sugar Hill is obsolete. That's a $350,000 house. That's a $425,000 house. This spring, I showed every property up to 500K in this area. They are all very hurt. In the modern world, a down payment of 3% to 10% is required. Then you need $20,000 to $40,000 cash to close. Sugar Hill housing stock is so deficient, by your own reports, that it could gobble up an additional $20,000 to $50,000 before one can even make it habitable and move in. After these last storms, a roof over 10 years old would probably make it impossible for a new purchaser to buy your home. NIMBYism, not in my backyard, is common everywhere, but you don't own your view. Everyone here lives in a house that was an eyesore to the farms next door. Then they sold that farmland and it became a new view of the first built homes. Subsequent owners know no different. That view is what it is, and in their opinion, it's always been there. What if development stopped in 1980? My house is here. Who else? Most of your homes were built in 1992.
to 1995, and the bulk of it is Pulte, who that home you will see everywhere from here to Johns Creek, repeated left, right, 1,000 times. Traffic has been blamed on Solis. They were blaming traffic on Solis before drywall was even installed. 37,000 cars a day does not come out of a couple of hundred apartments. This is not a standard American subdivision. This is a walkable neighborhood. It has access to shops, restaurants, and the soon-to-be Lidl. No need for a car. Sugar Hill has become, in planning parlance, a third place, a gathering place that builds community. Our multiple events, Sugar Rush, Farmers Market, music for Indio and the rooftop, and these are huge draws to our area that are building the sense of community and hometown that we can all be proud of. In closing, I ask that you make the needed decision of approving this project, not only because it is the right and correct thing to do, but to continue the previous councils, members, and mayors, and should be proud of what they did to get us here. And as my father always said, finish what you start.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Mr. Hartley, let's do a quick time check. There's probably not a whole lot of time left. 27 seconds. All right. So unless there's somebody else that wants to speak in the support, then we'll close that out and we'll move on to, yes, sir. 27 seconds.
My name's Josh Mendoza. Again, I'm at 985 Whitehead Road. So we are just a couple hundred yards away, not only my house, my brother's, my dad's as well, and we're excited about the quality that's coming in. We tried to build quality when we came to Sugar Hill, and we're excited about the walkability, the new restaurants, all that. It's one of the reasons we moved here, so thank you. Please, we are in support. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza. I think that pretty much runs the time out.
Enough time. My dad
Sir, we are out of time. 7 seconds. We'll allow that for rebuttal, maybe to answer a quick question if something comes up. All right, now we'll open up the 15 minutes for those that might wish to speak in opposition to or express concern about it. And if you could, just like the normal process, just give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Babs Grimes. I live at 799 Whitehead Road. And my home is not obsolete. It's great. Thank you. No, I love this city. Brendan, I love everything we do here. I love the downtown. I love the theater. There's so much about this that I love. I also love my single-family home on Whitehead Road. We taught this city as a place to live, work, and play. We got enough places to live, folks. We need some more work and play. The places to live, we have plenty of those here. We need to work on the low density, single-family homes, not the high density. You're coming down the street towards me, and I'm not liking it. I don't want to be a part of the Central Business District. I don't want to be a part of that. You're rendering up here. You got parking on Whitehead Road. How does parking on Broad Street downtown work for everybody coming and going out of those places? Do you like that? I don't think Whitehead Road's going to be any better. And now you're down the street where I live, so no, I don't like that. Has anybody done a traffic study to see how cutting Bailey Road through affects the traffic on Whitehead Road where I live? Has anybody done a traffic study? What's that going to do to the traffic on the street where I live? Does anybody know? I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the traffic on Whitehead Road, the traffic that all of these high-density homes are going to create. So just to recap that, and I'm not being obstinate or anything, but at election several years, last election, there were 3 councilmen voted out and new ones voted in. So that should tell people that whatever was going on before that, the people here in the city of Sugar Hill did not like. But we continue to move down that same road. It's time to stop. It's time to stop and rethink what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grimes. Anybody else? Just please give your name and address for the record, and thank you.
Melissa Stocks. I live at 1056 Whitehead Road. We are one of the properties adjacent to the new area, and we, in fact, live in one of the obsolete homes in Sugar Hill. My parents bought it 41 years ago, so everybody, we've been here a hot minute. I went to the original Sugar Hill Elementary right over here. I went to the original North Lanier that was under Lanier High School now. I grew up here. My daughter now lives on Whitehead Road, and it's where we've grown up. We actually sit on our back porch and watch deer eat in the property next to us, because part of the area that you're taking to put all these homes on is actually an agricultural forest. That's what it's zoned as. And they didn't really touch on that when they were talking about that. So keep that in mind. If we're so focused on green space and things like that, taking out part of the agricultural forest zoning that we have doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. 4.61 acres will have 54 units, y'all. 8 will border one side of our property, which is crazy, where the deer used to eat. So 16 cars at least will be parked on one side of our property. In total, they're looking at 180 units on 15 acres. There are only 3 in and out entrances. One is on Whitehead, one is on West Broad, and one is on 20. The amount of cars that they're going to have using these ins and outs is going to create a mad amount of traffic. Think about West Broad and Whitehead, how small they are right now, and all of those cars coming in and out. There is a 4th entrance that just goes in, but it's a one-way. It's not an exit, so those cars will only be coming in, not out. And they're affordable housing, y'all. They're only $400,000 to $800,000. I work for the school system. I work a full-time job. I also work a part-time job on the weekends. I get an additional income and child support. So I'm a working member of your community. I have a master's degree. I report to work every day. I work hard. I could not buy one of these homes. So in terms of affordable housing, I'm not sure that's the correct way to title it. Additionally, currently in progress in the city of Sugar Hill, places that are not completely leased and taken yet. Cadence has 294 apartments, not 100% occupied. Solee has 291 apartments, not 100% occupied. The local has 316, not 100% occupied. Currently under construction in the city of Sugar Hill, we have Novar Sugar Hill on Stanley Street with 288 apartments and 18 townhomes. The refinery at Hillcrest on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard will have 178 apartments, 19 row houses, and 84 townhomes. Hillcrest Landing will have 63 townhomes. Ellison Square at Old Cumming Highway will have 81 townhomes. Tessa Sugar Hill at 20 and Bailey will have 126 townhomes. Skyview on Broad and Hillcrest will have 20 to 25 townhomes. The Collier at PIB and Old Spring Way will have 302 apartments. And then there are other places that are talking about building right now. Those are places that are not actually currently built and occupied yet, and you're looking at putting another 184 houses on a piece of property that literally used to have 5 to 7 houses on it. And that's assuming that the one that was back in the woods behind the church still existed. So in terms of traffic alone, guys, in Georgia, 0.87 cars per person, so we're going to go with that number, right? So you've got 169 apartments currently not occupied, 429 townhomes being built, averages 0.87 cars a person. You're going to assume 2 people in every one of those homes, because I just told you I can't afford anywhere to live, and I have 2 jobs. So that is roughly another 3,600 cars in our city before we talk about the property that they want to build here, which is crazy. Common issues for rapid growth, stormwater and flash flooding issues. We already have stormwater issues, y'all, without putting these houses on this property and taking out an agricultural forest zoned area. Pollution and waste disposal are a problem. Rapid urbanization can often lead to increased crime rates, inequality, infrastructure issues, road maintenance, hospitals, traffic, drainage. Our schools right now are completely overloaded as they are. I work in Gwinnett County. I see it every day. Loss of biodiversity. You guys are taking out one of the few areas with trees that we have left. So the deer that we watch eat are going to be gone. The coyotes that we hear in the woods are going to be gone. And a loss of character is the biggest one to me. It leads to an alteration of the city's unique character, and it results in a homogenized look, y'all. Like, they're going to build us houses just like they built everywhere else. We're going to look like just like everybody else. And I understand that my home is obsolete, but I've been there for 40 years, and I feel like it's pretty important to preserve this city.
Thank you, Ms. Flanders. Is there anybody else? I apologize.
Before my time starts, Mr. Mayor, I apologize for any
a misunderstanding. I'm not a public speaker, I'm not a politician. I don't understand all the city council laws. I came tonight because this is important to me.
Yes, sir, understand. Wanted to make sure you had the right time to express your opinion, so.
I'm Paul Grimes. I live at 799 Whitehead Road with the non-obsolete house with my wife, Babs. We don't want, Whitehead is a residential road, 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. We don't want the downtown business district encroaching in our residential neighborhood. And you consider it a through street, it's our neighborhood. I don't want to wake up one morning because this is business district, they've encroached on me, and I've got a Waffle House across the street from my house. I would love to have a Waffle House at Hillcrest in 20, where it's zoned for that. Would be great. I'd eat there regularly. I'm a council member here. I don't mean to call names, commented on the school system's excellence. I appreciate that. I'm glad of that. I'm glad we live in a school system like that. But I don't want it to become overwhelmed and mediocre because of overcrowding. Last, this has the appearance of being a done deal. I don't know what's going on, but there seems to be excavators and fencing already going up on 20 on the backside of this property. Please consider this, members, and don't let it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimes. Let's do a quick time check, just to see where 7 minutes left. Okay. Is there anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm not professionally trained to speak or address people either, and I do my best.
Please give your name and address for the record, just last.
My name is Marla King. My address is 510 Emerald Parkway. I do live in the city of Sugar Hill, and my neighborhood is in the city, some isn't. Mine is, and I've been there 30 years. I would just like to ask the city council to slow down. I think this project is happening way too fast. The residents are being marketed as single-family residences, but they have the appearance of multifamily. The density is unbelievable. 12 houses per acre. I was under the impression with our last election, we were trying to slow down a little bit, but I don't see it happening. That's how I voted, and it'll have a lot to do with my future voting. These houses, as some of the other people were speaking about, it's out of the most residences' range to afford, and our houses were called obsolete. I bought mine brand new, so it's 30 years old, and I don't think it's that obsolete. I don't have pink tile in my bathroom. It's easy to pull pictures off the internet, off of Zillow. You can find anything. I don't think our streets and infrastructure can handle all the people we have now. We're bursting at the seams. I'd just like for you to request that you slow down and you turn this down. Consider the density. If it does get considered, table it. If it does get considered, take some of the density out, because our average resident can't afford a home like that. Oh, one more thing. I did come to the planning meeting where this was presented, and a gentleman who came in who's a family member of somebody on Whitehead Road that was saying that he was for this. He said this will make Sugar Hill the Beverly Hills of Gwinnett County. I don't want my town to be the Beverly Hills of Gwinnett County. I want to be able to afford to live here. I want our taxes to stay reasonable. This will run the comps up. That's all I got to say. Please vote no. Please slow down.
Thank you, Ms. King. All right, let's do another quick time check. We have 4 minutes and 36 seconds left. Yes, ma'am. Just give your name and address for the record, and thank you.
Absolutely. My name is Kaylee Weiland. I am once again at 5623 Riverside Walk Drive. I just wanted to note a few things. There are no jobs, very few, within Sugar Hill. So the majority of these homeowners have to commute. So within Sugar Hill touting, there's nothing within Sugar Hill that actually has the salaries needed to afford these homes. So to say that cars will be obsolete is kind of a misnomer. There are currently units very similar on Hillcrest, you guys can walk there without a bridge, that are not built due to not being filled. Very similar. My grandmother lives in one of those unsightly houses on Whitehead, one that I spent birthdays in, one that I have spent Christmases in, one that I spend weekends at on a regular basis with my 4-year-old after choosing to buy a house in Sugar Hill because of the community that I have an emotional connection to. I have fed deer at her house. We ride go-karts. I have grown my family at her house. And I would love to buy her house one day, okay, and update it to our needs. But to maintain, in order to maintain the personality and the life that's within that unsightly house. So to allow a developer to speak so poorly of our community and our citizens, and then continue to prioritize pedestrian bridges, signage, and high-density zoning over our much-needed improvements is putting party and personal over people. For those reasons, in addition to the remarks before me, I am not in favor of this rezoning.
Thank you for your comments. Let's do another quick time check. We have 2:47. Anybody else that wishes to speak in opposition or express concern about the project?
My name is Amber Chambers. I reside at a $470,000 shanty at 809 Whitehead Road. It's really sad, y'all. Feel bad for me. I want to point out a procedural problem that really smacks of institutional issues here. I don't think this can be ignored. I think the project itself is really bad. I think it's going to create a lot of transportation problems. You've got 27 on-street parking units. You already have problems with your on-street parking all down Main Street. It's a famous problem that's often talked about. And not just by me, by a lot of people here. But right after, what I noticed is that the city, as one of the participants in this project, you've known the whole time what this project was, okay? You've known the whole time. The applicant, he knew the whole time. Right after the public notice sign went up, I filed open records request, as I always do. I got back an application that was incomplete. He had signed it, he had put his contact information, but on the essential blank, where you fill out what you want to do, what you need your rezoning for, that was blank. The space where it says, how many units do you want? That was blank. Okay, so he filled out nothing, and we didn't know. So when we came to the Planning Commission hearing, no one was asking the question, how do you have a hearing about something when you don't know what the case is? And I feel like had we not brought that up, different people in the community, the city would have just rubber stamped that and passed it on through. That's a huge problem. We should never be allowing cases that are mystery cases, pig and a poke, to show up like that, especially when y'all know what it is and are choosing to not disclose that to the public. That is not fair to the public, and that is, quite frankly, it's disgraceful. And I'm sorry if anyone's feelings are hurt by that, but it really has to be said. Okay, so I will.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. All right, what's the time left now, Mr. Hartley? 45 seconds.
I can do that.
Mr. Schultz, you probably can.
Andrew Schultz, 5350 Trace, and I live in one of those shanties too. And I got a new architectural roof this year, so I'm happy. So I may be good for a little bit, and I don't own a cell phone. I know. What's wrong with me? Problem, can't serve two masters. You're either going to love one or hate the other. We can't serve investors, developers, and all that, and not serve our people. One of the two. And obviously, we're choosing the wrong one because we already have a park with many trees and deer and everything. It just doesn't have amenities on it. Why are we doing this? Why are we so quick to hand over city property, which is taxpayer property, over to a developer so quickly? And I'll thank you.
Good job getting it in time, Mr. Schultz. All right, so we are done with the public hearing. I think the time has run out on both, except maybe for 7 seconds. And if the applicant wants to use their 7 seconds, they're welcome to. All right, I think they are passing on that. So, all right, so we will close out the public hearing. And again, appreciate everybody's input on both sides. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion to deny the rezoning.
All right, I have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
Can I offer a substitute motion?
Yes, sir, you can.
This might be lengthy. I don't know is there an opportunity to have discussion prior to making the motion?
We kind of need to have a full, motion and a second to have discussion. Yeah.
I would like to add 8 additional conditions. So,
I'll just explain how Robert's Rules of Order works. A substitute motion does take precedence. So if you would like to make a substitute motion, I will recognize you. It will need a second, though, obviously, to have discussion.
sure.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a substitute motion to approve with the staff conditions enumerated in October 14, 2024 presentation, the request to rezone from RS 100 AF and RS 150 to RS 100 CBD for the purpose of constructing single-family residential homes and to expand the boundaries of the CBD to include the properties. In addition to staff's conditions, I hereby incorporate the following conditions, which would be numbered as followed. Number 3, add a 0% rental cap provision to the HOA CCRs. Number 4, the road labeled Bailey Avenue or the Bailey Avenue extension would not be connected to adjacent parcels. This road would remain a private driveway and not become city maintained. Number 5, increase the buffer that is adjacent to parcels 7306011A and 7306008 from 5 and 10 feet respectively to 15 feet on both sides. Number 6, the buffer that is adjacent to parcels 7306011A and 7306008 should be substantially screened and professionally landscaped and maintained. Number 7, the developer shall fund the HOA reserves in the amount of $1,000 per unit developed. So example, 100 units would equal $100,000 in reserve once turned over to the association. Number 8, the cost of any stormwater detention/retention shall be paid for by the developer. Number 9, no more than 7 units per acre for the entire project. And then number 10, the removal of the Whitehead Road parking.
That was a long motion. Is there a second?
Well, I'll second for discussion.
All right. We have a second. Is there any discussion before I call the vote?
Comments if Mr. Anderson is...
I think Mr. Anderson was first, but either one's fine. If you could, just raise your hand instead of turning your light on. It just kind of messes up the sound system. But
Sorry about that. I guess the question or points I would bring up, as I look at this, I don't see a terrible product at all. In fact, I wish that maybe you had been here 10 years ago for some of this instead of what was put in, right? But we are where we are in the development process. And based on that, we've got very high density residential apartments here. And then down Whitehead Road, we've got RS 150 lots, right? And what I see on here, in one case, it's 12 units backing up to a lot. In another case, I think it was 8 units backing up to a lot, right? And if we extend the CBD as they're requesting here to grant them the density they want, then there has to be some sort of transition between this high density and the RS 150. And that's just kicking that transition further down Whitehead Road. And we've heard the residents there, and I agree that we don't want to see this cascade down Whitehead Road. So based on the density there, I just can't see rezoning these particular properties and giving that kind of density of 12 units an acre immediately next to an RS 150 zoning. So I think if anything, on these properties, instead of this, even the 7 units an acre you're talking about, they already have higher density property they can develop their 12 units an acre on, which I believe is what's currently allowed there in this sort of thing. But you could transition from that down to the RS 150 by just going straight RS 100 there. Now, I'm certainly not suggesting that they have to keep the AF, which, although in some case that may be desirable, probably not in this location. I don't think that would be constitutional zoning. RS 150 could be debatable whether that's constitutional zoning. I don't think there's any question on these particular lots you could do RS 100, and that would be consistent with, or getting closer to consistent, certainly a transition between the high density and the RS 150 there. But I think even the 7 units per acre is way too high, and 12's out of the question, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Perkel. Mr. Anderson, I think you were next.
Yeah, I did want to thank staff for clarifying my comment from the work session, which was to incorporate the already zoned parcel, or the parcel that's already inside the central business district, because of what I wanted to make certain was that what we were presented was what was built, even though that property was not subject to zoning. That was my concern, and that's why I asked the question on Monday, how we could control that, given that we were only zoning 2 parcels, being requested to rezone 2 parcels and bring it into the central business district. So I appreciate staff doing that and clarifying that and getting that worked out. Overall, I think this project, and in particular the developer Hedgewood, has demonstrated that they produce a very high-quality product. The fact that we have so many folks in our community who don't have this type of product that they are proposing, which is unique, so that people can downsize within our community and stay within our community. I've seen posts on social media, and we're often folks wanting to downsize, and we refer them to other cities. And I think this is a great opportunity for those folks to downsize but still remain in a high-quality home and a high-quality development. And I'm also excited about the park, the Champion Tree Park, that we are finally bringing to fruition, and the commercial development in front of it as well. So with that, that's all the comments that I have.
All right. Mr. Page.
Sure, thank you. The spirit behind a lot of these zoning conditions is to almost strike a balance between the growth that will eventually come to that area. You've got the CBD zoned parcel right in the middle. I believe it's 6.5 acres right in the middle that's already zoned CBD. Hence the 7 units per acre. It would go down to a maximum of 180 units, down to a maximum of 107 units. However they can distribute those, I would leave that up to the developer, however they would want to formulate a plan, if they want to use all 107 if possible. If not, then that is great. I think it just strikes a balance between what we need. I'm familiar with several of Hedgewood's properties that they have developed. It's a great product. It serves a product that we currently don't have here in the city limits, and almost going back to, as I like to call it, cradle to grave, somewhere where you can find a cheap starter home that needs a fixer-upper. You can fix it up right when you get married, and then here in this case and in some of our other developments that are well established, you've got houses that are in the $800,000-$900,000 range, which is great for those professional folks who want to be here in our city, in the city limits, be close to everything, and then hopefully have 5 to 10 more years left in their working career, and then hopefully stay here in the city limits. And with this mix of housing types here, I think you can kind of achieve a lot of different things. And I completely understand the affordability question. It is not up to the council to dictate how much a developer charges for their property. The market does that. If the market goes down, then the market goes down, so be it. If the market goes up, then the market goes up, so be it. We cannot dictate that. So I think it's a great product. I think we can strike a balance here of figuring out how we can develop this in a way, because it's eventually going to be developed one way or another. So.
Thank you, Mr. Page. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion before I call the vote? Yes, Mr. Perkle.
A question mainly for Mr. Hartley, I guess. With the changes in the zoning, the current proposal, I believe the conditions that were put up by staff were related to the site plan, and what's being proposed is significantly different to this. I would think we need another site plan, or at least it would have to go back for some sort of review from the council, as opposed to just saying, since those conditions call it site-specific, and we have nothing that would address what's being proposed, how would that happen, or what would need to happen to make sure that there's, some structure around it?
I think you would have to amend condition 1 that makes it substantially conform to the site plan, because the site plan as shown shows, I think, 172 units, and you would now have a maximum of 107 units, I think, according to Councilmember Page's information. So I think you would just have to you would have to amend condition 1 so that they would have to resubmit a site plan, either for approval by the council or for approval by staff, with the new maximum of 107 units.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. So I believe we are in a posture where we've had a motion and a second, and as part of discussion, someone can offer that amendment if they would like. Is there someone that would be willing to make that amendment?
I can make the amendment to the motion for the first zoning condition that the applicant would have to resubmit a site plan.
Okay, I have a motion to adopt an amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, a second. So we have an amendment that has been properly made. Any discussion on the amendment before I call a vote on the amendment? All right, no discussion. All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your right hand. Those opposed, like sign. All right, any further discussion on the overall motion? Yes, Ms. Avery.
I understand what Hedgewood it does, and I agree it's a great product. The homes look very nice, but I've also heard tonight, as well as by several texts and emails, about the live, work, and play concept. And as has been pointed out tonight, and I looked up, right now we have 1,669 apartments, 397 townhomes, and 19 row houses. We're looking at 2,085. And I've heard tonight, slow down. And that's what, personally, I think we need to do. This is a great product. I'm not convinced this is the right location. I'm not convinced that bringing the town center overlay further down Whitehead is right. And I just believe that it is right that we do need to slow down, and we do need to look at this. And I don't think this is the right concept at this time for our city.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. Any further discussion on the overall motion? All right, is there yes?
Sorry, I just kind of wanted to touch on, as though I did hear slow down, but I also heard connectivity, I heard community, but I also heard ignorance and incompetence and a lot of other spewing of names and other things. And I think that, with a product like this within our community, it's something that I feel is going to be, as I've heard also, accommodating of many lifestyles. And that's something that I think that we stand for. I think that, we're looking at building something not just for a few people or denying something for a few people, but what's best for the community and what's best for everyone. And I think that is something that is to be ideal, and I just wanted to make sure that I covered that. Thanks for your time, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I think we've had a lot of discussion on this. All those in favor of the original motion, please signify by raising your right hand. Your original motion that you made. Yes, sir. We successfully let's just slow it down for a minute, all right? So we'll walk it through.
The substitute.
We successfully adopted the amendment, so we are on the original.
Substitute. The original motion was to deny.
Thank you for that extra word, but all I'm interested in is the motion, right? So, original motion, the substitute motion that Mr. Page made, that we amended. Got it. All those in favor of the substitute motion made by Councilmember Page and seconded by Mr. Anderson. Is that clear enough for everybody? Good. Please raise your right hand. All right, all those opposed, like sign. Ms. Whittington? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to new business, item number 2, and that is for Whitehead Road. Mr. Besesh, are you going to present that, or?
This will be a staff presentation as well.
Okay.
Planning Department. While they are getting ready for the presentation, I will say this is one of the items that I think the DDA takes some pride in that the former City Hall building was utilized as a business incubator for probably the better part of the last 10 years. And we have now seen well, there's a lot of activity in the room, but I do want to say that this is one of those cases where we do have a business that graduated from the business incubator, and the old City Hall building was utilized as a business incubator for the better part of the last 10 years. So I just wanted to mention that as they get ready for the presentation, and Logan appears to be the one presenting.
Get forward here just a second.
Logan always has trouble with the...
I promise it's not, it's the computer, so. All right. Good evening, y'all. This is a design review within the Central Business District, 24-002 at 1125 Whitehead Road. It's a .285 acre parcel currently zoned O&I within the Central Business District. It's a little bit southwest of the roundabout. There you can see the surrounding zoning directly adjacent to the cemetery, so relatively quiet neighbors. The property is currently developed with a single-family structure built in 1951. As I mentioned, the property is zoned O&I, so it is a legal non-conforming use at this time. The applicant vets off leach, which, as Troy mentioned, is out of the sweet spot right now. They want to move into this property, rehabilitate it into a office for expanded operations for their business. They want to retain the existing structure as much as possible, just with some commercial improvements, ADA accessibility requirements to fully convert into commercial property. They are also proposing a 24 by 26 garage at the rear of the property to park their mobile vet van within that, so it's out of sight. And that structure will substantially match the existing house. This is the site plan as currently submitted. You can see they're retaining a lot of the landscaping on the property. I believe all of the older growth trees that are there will be remaining as well. Improving some of the paved areas for their employee parking. These are some views of the house as it is right now. It'll largely remain the same. I believe just a little bit of freshening up, a little bit of landscaping, and of course those commercial improvements. And then this is not a requirement of the design review process, but they did submit just kind of an example monument sign that they would like to put into the put onto the property. A little bit of representative pictures there. So staff is recommending approval of the site plan and buildings and material. An architectural detail with the following condition: final building design shall substantially resemble the exhibits, subject to on-site mock-up approval with identified materials. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Logan. Any questions of staff? Yes, sir, Mr. Perkle.
Could you go back and read that picture that showed the cemetery with the building in the background?
This
Right
one?
there.
Yep.
So it looks to me well, I don't know, there may be a swell on the hill, but things slope downhill potentially into the cemetery. I asked you at the work session about the drainage on the site in light of the, all the concrete that seems to be going on with the new development. Were you able to determine anything about the drainage and where it would go and if it's going to cause a problem for the cemetery?
Yeah, I looked into it. So the property slopes very gently. It's about a 4-foot drop from north to southwest. It's very gradual. And then I looked through our development requirements as well as far as stormwater quality, when we would require quality improvements for that. And that would be 5,000, if it's under 5,000 square feet of new impervious area, then it is exempt. If it's over 5,000 square feet, then it would require stormwater quality. This is well under 5,000 square feet and well under 1 acre of total site development disturbance.
Okay, that road appears to go toward it and then potentially curve around past the graves there? That's what it appears from this picture. I'm not talking something about in terms of the quality of the water or that sort of thing. I just think if you've got that much impervious surface and it's sloped toward the cemetery, even if it's only at the 4 feet you talked about, it's going to pick up a lot of speed over the concrete, and then it's going to hit that grass and keep going, and we're going to see some erosion there. So that's the only red flag I have there. I don't know if that road is scheduled for improvement or if there's any drainage structures in the area, but I would hate to see it washing out graves in that area because of the water runoff.
And I'll just say I am definitely not an engineer. I went to planning school, not engineering school. But the stormwater quality, basically that has to do with detention and water runoff. It's a somewhat all-encompassing term just for ease of communication here.
Basically, you're saying it's the whole water management, not the quality of the water, but also where it goes and how it's controlled.
Yep.
All right.
So our development regulations would likely exempt this property. So.
Okay. So even if it is exempt, which would mean it doesn't bear issue to this, I think we may still need to consider that in terms of cemetery potential improvements, or just keep an eye on it to see if there's any erosion from that. Those are my only questions.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle, and good job answering it, Logan. Anybody else have a question? All right, so this has a public hearing associated with it as well, and for this one, we're going to stick with our normal 10 minutes for each side. If the applicant could come forward, we'll start the 10 minutes that would be in support of the application. And thank you. Just please to give your name and address for the record, and thank you for being here.
Good evening. My name is Karen Carney, and I reside at 6078 Peerless Avenue here in Sugar Hill. I've owned my home and been an active part of this community since late 2016. I am also a veterinarian and the owner of Vets Off Leash. It's a veterinary house call service. Vets Off Leash has been serving the Sugar Hill community since 2021, initially as a home-based business, and then later expanding by renting office space through the Sweet Spot. We're here tonight hoping to relocate our business offices to a permanent location at 1125 Whitehead Road. So just a little bit about my business. Vets Off Leash is not your traditional veterinary practice. We're a house call service. We provide veterinary care to our clients and their pets in our van or in the comfort of their homes. This model is particularly beneficial to pet owners who face challenges getting to clinics, whether due to mobility issues, pet anxiety, or other obstacles. We've seen firsthand how this service fills a crucial gap in our community by making veterinary care more accessible, especially for elderly residents and those with disabilities. The property at 1125 Whitehead Road is already zoned OI, or Office Institutional. Our business activities will be typical of a general business office. The office will strictly serve as our administrative hub, with veterinary services continuing to be provided in our van at clients' homes. We don't hospitalize patients, board them, or house them. All services are outpatient and off-site. We believe the use of the property will complement the surrounding area. The office will act as a buffer between the nearby residential zone and the busier downtown area. By keeping activity in the office low volume and oriented away from neighboring residences, we aim to preserve the peace and character of the community. Since the property is already zoned for business use, we feel that our low-impact business model represents an ideal use of this property. We are also committed to preserving the charm by maintaining the mature trees and making minimal changes to the landscape. We love the beauty of the property as much as everyone else. In addition, we have been working closely with the city to adjust the rear property line, what was shown on the map, but also a separate project. There's going to be an adjustment of the rear property line. Currently, our property owns the access road for the cemetery, and we are working with the city. Currently, it's with an easement, but we are working with the city to adjust that property line to give that property back to the city to be able to further their plan with the cemetery. We're dedicated to being good neighbors and working collaboratively with local officials and community members to ensure our project aligns with the broader goals of the community. So we do want to make a few simple but important improvements to the property to accommodate our business operations. Parking. We will add parking spots for our small team while preserving as much of the current landscape as possible. Our current plan allows up to 5 parking spaces. I did hear the concerns at the work session last week about the amount of concrete. As a result, we do have an alternate design with 3 parking spots instead of 5, and with much less additional concrete, reducing the amount by 500 square feet. And I do have a copy of that plan. We do want to add a garage. This will replace the existing shed and be a 24 by 26 foot garage to securely park our business vehicle. The garage will be designed to match the existing office building in materials and color, ensuring that it blends seamlessly with the property's aesthetic. The current house is a blue-gray colored siding with white trim and an overall farmhouse feel. We want to keep that. We plan to color match the house and the garage, keep the white trim and the dark gray architectural shingle roof. We do want to add a small sign. We do understand that that would be a different permit. Again, these changes have been designed to minimize impact on the surrounding community. All proposed improvements would be oriented away from our single neighboring residential property. All improvements face cemetery property on the side and the rear. Our improvements are designed to enhance the property with minimal disruption, adding ADA compliance, and we are confident that our low-impact business model makes us an ideal fit for this location. We ask for your support in approving our plans and granting the necessary permits so that we can continue to serve the people and the pets of Sugar Hill. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Any questions of the applicant? Mr. Hartley, how much time is there left on this?
5 minutes and 45 seconds.
Thank you. Anybody else that was here that would wish to speak in support of the application? Yes, sir, Mr. January.
James January, 1282 Frontier Drive. Yeah, I actually don't know very much about this, but sitting here listening to the presentation, I think this is just about as perfect a transition, from the business downtown area to residential area, I think, as you could, because it's already zoned for OI, so I think it's a perfect fit. So,
thank you, Mr. January. We'll have a little bit of time left, I think, for rebuttal. Is there anybody else that wants to speak in this column of time? Yes, ma'am. Please give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lee Mihas. I live at 6252 Swanee Dam Road, Sugar Hill. I am a client of Vets Off Leash. The mobile vet comes to my house. It's wonderful. They see my dog. He is a very loving, big, giant pit bull. He is very stressful to take to the vet, so I have loved the convenience of the mobile vet coming to me. I think this is a wonderful addition to our community. I know we do have a couple animal hospitals within the Sugar Hill community. I love that it's downtown. I love not necessarily, that I take him downtown, but I love that it's convenient. I love that they can come to me at almost, it's so quick, they're so close. It's great for our community. We have the senior living facilities so close. I think she's already done appointments there. She can come by in her van, and then the office is right there. They build that garage. They put it away. It's such a, I think like it was spoken before, it's such a nice transition from what is commercial to residential. They don't board or house any pets at the building. It's just for their staff to park. They put the van in the garage. There's no extra noises. They've considered the neighbor that they have on the one side. All the new additions are on the other side facing the commercial, the downtown district. So I just wanted to say I fully support it. I love the business. I love the people and the staff as well.
Thank you for your comments. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in this column of time? Okay, we will close it, and we will open up the time for those that might wish to speak in opposition or express concern. There's 10 minutes allocated for that. Is there anybody here? All right, I see nobody, so we will close that period of time. And I'll just ask if I know that there was a new rendering that was passed around to everybody. Is there a motion that might incorporate that new rendering into it? Yes, Mr. Anderson?
Before I make a motion, what I would just want to say congratulations to Dr. Carney. When we started the Sweet Spot 8-9 years ago to reutilize and repurpose the old Sugar Hill City Hall, this was exactly the type of businesses that we were hoping to birth out of there, from home-based to Sweet Spot-based as they grew their client base to now having their own place to start their business. So I want to say congratulations to Dr. Carney. That takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of sacrifice, but we are super excited that you started your business here in Sugar Hill, grew it in Sugar Hill, and are keeping it here in Sugar Hill. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the DRB CBD Design Review 24-002 with the amended conditions. And that's all I have, Mayor.
I have a motion from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Page. Any discussion before I call the vote? Yes.
I just have one comment, and kind of to echo Council Member Anderson. I wish we could have like a graduation ceremony almost. It is exciting. I'm excited for you. I know it's 10 o'clock at night and we have other things to do, but just super excited that you can graduate from the Sweet Spot, which is exactly what it was intended to do, to have your own spot, and you're still in the city limits of Sugar Hill. And I know that takes time. I know a lot of our businesses are growing so rapidly that we don't have the commercial space to house their employees. So it's so great that someone can graduate from the Sweet Spot to actually find a place here in the city limits. So super excited for you. Excited to see this come to fruition.
No, Ms. Carney, I'm assuming we'll do a ribbon cutting at some point in time. So, all right, so we have a motion and a second.
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sir.
Just for clarity's sake, can we just have the clarification that the amended condition means to replace Exhibit 2, which is the site plan, with the new site plan that was handed out at the meeting?
Mr. Mayor, I'll amend my motion to match the city attorney's.
Mr. Page, your second still stand? All right. Any further discussion before I call a vote? All right. Go ahead.
I'll let Kearney go without me just congratulating you and applauding the efforts. Again, seeing your vehicles going around our city is applaudable, and you living within our community, your kids going to school within our community, you serving on the PTA within our community. That's what community is about. You having your businesses and utilizing our Sweet Spot, and then graduating over into a business right here in Sugar Hill is so applaudable, and thank you for what you're doing. So awesome. Great job. Congrats.
All right. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, next we'll move on to new business item number 3, Spring Hill Drive. Claire, thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. So we received an application for design review approval within the town center overlay at 5017 Spring Hill Drive. It's located in a largely residential area. It's zoned RS 150. Here are photos of the existing house. The proposed updates retain the existing character. It will continue to be a ranch, red brick home. The improvements include an addition of a 4th bedroom. It's a 600-foot addition to kind of the northwest corner of the property. That's closest to the carport. And I did clarify with the applicant, the existing home has 3 bedrooms, and so it will be an additional 4th. As well as a covered front porch and a new front door. Here is the site plan. There will also be an improved driveway that will be part of the improvements. Staff is recommending approval with site plan conformance that the final design shall substantially resemble the attached exhibits labeled Exhibit 1 through 2.
thank you for the presentation. Any questions of staff before I open up the public comment? All right, thank you, Claire. All right, so same process. We'll do the first 10 minutes for those that wish to speak in support of the application. Is the applicant here? And does the applicant wish to speak? Yes, please come on up. And if you could, just give your name and address for the record, and we thank you for being here.
Thank you. Mike Dodson, we're at 6079 Shadburn Ferry Road in Beaufort, just up the road. My wife, Stacy. We are DHT Properties. We plan to do the renovation with a contractor, general contractor, a top tier. We're in real estate. We show a lot of homes. We see a lot of flips that are done very poorly, poor quality work, craftsmanship, poor quality materials, but this is our flagship. We're going to do this right. We want to keep the charm of the 1958 ranch. We are adding some space in the back corner. It's kind of an L-shaped home now. We're going to make it, add a little more space to it. Inside's going to be completely renovated up to today's standards and quality and codes. And the driveway is going to be shifted a little bit. There's a slight encroachment of the existing asphalt driveway, which will be pulled up, and new concrete. So that's really all I got to say. Yeah, we're done.
She said she might not want to sell it
ourselves.
after.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any questions of the applicant? All right, no questions. Thank you. And I know we have a lot of time left on that. Anybody else wishes? Yes, sir. Mr. Grimes.
Yes, Paul Grimes, 799 Whitehead Road, resident of Sugar Hill. I've driven by your place. I like it. I like that it's fixing up an existing home, adding charm to it, and still seeing a sense of our community. I like it.
Thank you, Mr. Grimes. All right, anybody else that wishes to speak in this allotted amount of time? All right, we will close it, and we will move on to the 10 minutes for those that might wish to speak in opposition or express concern about the application. Is there anybody in that category? All right, I do not see anybody, so we will close that time out. Any comments or questions from staff before I ask if there is a motion? I see none. Is there a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we approve DRB TCO 24-003 at 5017 Spring Hill Drive as proposed.
Thank you, ma'am. If you could clarify just that item number 1, the following condition. Just read that out. It's on the screen.
With the first condition that final designs shall substantially resemble the attached exhibits labeled Exhibit 1 through 2.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. We have a motion. Is there a second? I have a second from Mr. Hicks. Any discussion before I call the vote? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item number 4, which is another design review, and that one is for Level Creek Road. Claire, thank you again.
Yes, the next design review for the Town Center overlay at 1011 Level Creek Road. This property is located in a largely residential area, and it's just along the Greenway, zoned RS 150. So the existing structure, this is a photo of the existing structure that has since been demoed and has kind of just been sitting with kind of the foundation and kind of some of the bones of the original structure. This is the proposed site plan, so it is an addition and remodel to the existing structure, so it's a good bit larger at about 3,100 square feet, and it has one driveway at the existing curb cut on Level Creek Road that will either be concrete or asphalt, and they will be removing the existing gravel driveway parking area that's off of Cold Creek. The house has navy blue siding with white accents. This is showing some of the landscape plan, and the applicant has also stated that they intend to retain the mature trees that are at the rear of the property. And then the color is that they are proposing. And staff recommends approval with the following condition, that final design shall substantially resemble the attached exhibits labeled Exhibit 1 through 4.
Thank you, Claire. Any questions of staff before I open up the public comment? All right, I see none. Thank you. All right, same process. We'll do the first 10 minutes for those that wish to speak in support of the application. And I see that the applicant is here. Mr. Johansson, would you like to come forward?
Yeah, thank you, Council and Mayor. This will be real quick. I'm not going to hook up my computer today, but made the changes requested in the last month review, removed the second driveway, and the architect redrew the house to a single family, single deck, removed the back entrance, and the second driveway to be, eventually being grass, obviously, once the property's done. So hope to move forward. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johansson. Any questions of the applicant? All right, I see none. Anybody else that would wish to speak in support of the application? All right, we'll close out that portion of the time, and we'll move on to the 10 minutes for those that might wish to speak in opposition to or express concern about the application. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak in that category? All right, I see none, so we will close that out. Any comments or further questions from council before I ask if there is a motion? All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the request for design review for 1011 Laurel Creek Road with staff conditions enumerated in the October 2nd, 2024 staff report.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Page. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Hicks. Any further discussion before I call the vote? Sorry, I was trying to slow it down in my mind just a little bit because I felt like I was moving fast. All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, next we're going to move on to item number 5, and that is the contract award for the pedestrian bridge. Mr. Basesh, I believe that is you to present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You can hear me now, I guess. This item is a recommendation to award the construction contract for the Highway 20 pedestrian bridge. It's project number 24-011. The project is budgeted for construction in both FY 24 and 25 at a total cost of over $6 million, funded from both SPLOST and American Rescue Plan Act money. SPLOST is a sales tax and ARPA is federal funding, and yes, they are both tax dollars. Planning efforts to stitch together two sides of Highway 20 began in the early 2000s in the form of the 2005 Town Center Master Plan, with what you see here represented in the form of a pedestrian tunnel for grade separation access to those areas north of Highway 20. It also references some items that we discussed earlier with downtown residential development, and as you see at the bottom there, it did even contemplate a parking deck of some 850 spaces all the way back in 2005, when it probably didn't seem appropriate to have that much parking or high-density residential. The 2013 highway widening did not take advantage of the opportunity to put in that tunnel. Later updates, like the 2014 Downtown Master Plan, reiterated the need and public interest in a bridge. The project was included in the 2017 SPLOST program, even as both sides of the road continued to experience growth. The residential growth, along with the construction and success of the Greenway Trail, mean that many will benefit from grade-separated access across State Route 20. Conservatively, I estimated and counted that there are some 2,700 residents north and 3,000 residents south of Highway 20 that will be able to use the bridge safely to get to destinations both north and south of 20 on bikes, in wheelchairs, on rollerblades, on foot, or even pushing strollers with such a bridge. In this table, I provided just a few of the neighborhoods and developments that are close to the bridge, but I've heard from several Greenway users that come downtown routinely on their bikes from Whitehead Road, some 5 miles distant. Or in the case of some, they run that far. It's hard to believe. I want to highlight also some data of interest to this topic from the Governor's Highway Safety Association. A central element of pedestrian-focused approach is creating built environments that reduce crash potential or eliminate the conflicts entirely. A grade-separated approach eliminates the conflict altogether at this project location. Recent data from GHSA show slight drop in pedestrian deaths in 2022, but still offer a disturbing reality and a disturbing trend in the wrong direction. There are some 7,000 deaths annually from from drivers that hit pedestrians. In 2022, some 60% of pedestrian fatalities occurred on non-freeway arterials like State Route 20. Figure 12 illustrates that distribution. These proportions are comparable to the 2021 and the 5-year trend. So grade separation eliminates most of the conflicts between the almost 40,000 vehicles a day and growing, as well as an average expected 130 Greenway users a day, conservatively as well. In addition to improving safety with the competing uses, the bridge will reduce intersection delay for the corresponding pedestrian phase at the intersection. Based on the pedestrian phase effects at this intersection, the bridge is a reasonable, responsible, efficient, and safer alternative. Bridge alignment and ramps were chosen to take advantage of grades to eliminate need for elevators or other cost-adding elements like stair towers. ADA standards have also been taken into consideration when designing the entire greenway. The ramps meet that standard and do include the required landings. As for material selection and design, the city and its consultant completed a scoping report in late 2022, determining that a pre-stressed concrete structure was the preferred and most cost-effective solution. Typical practice in Georgia is pre-stressed concrete beams. The advantage of this type of structure is its very low maintenance requirement and cost compared to steel truss or other solutions. The piers in this concrete solution can be formed into unique shapes with form liner finish or brick veneer, as in our case. The total bridge length, including ramps, is some 480 feet and will allow the trail to be just under 14 feet wide. It provides the 17-foot 6-inch clearance required by Georgia GDOT minimum, and the center span is some 151 feet across. GDOT has planned its future needs by adding lanes from Lee Street west to PIB, taking space from the median to accomplish the widening. The bridge spans the current right-of-way as currently contemplated. In terms of architectural finishes and aesthetic considerations, the steel ribbons flowing across the center span do announce your arrival to a unique place with message of a special characteristic embedded in the one-of-a-kind genetic strand or Sugar Hill DNA. The ribbons also hint at a walkable, vibrant Greenway loop, as well as the hill where the sugar spilled. The bridge will provide immediate connections to the E-Center to the south, right of the photo, and the new commercial development by Novair to the north, and Ackerman, The sidewalk along the north to Sugar Hill Church is also an important connection to the parking lot used for overflow parking by agreement with the church, contemplated some 20 years ago in that 2005 Town Center Master Plan. With that, I want to talk a little bit about the bid phase for the construction activity associated with the bridge. Plans and bid documents were finalized and advertised for construction in August. 3 bids were received by GDOT qualified bidders. Staff negotiated with the low bidder to seek out project savings while preserving the objectives for the project. Some $120,000 in savings were identified in traffic control, grading complete, and mobilization line items, bringing the new bid price to $7,102,626.50. In considering the pedestrian safety benefits, the need for conflict avoidance, and as well as to accomplish the project objectives of both form and function, staff is recommending award to OMSHIV in the amount of $7,102,626.50 and approve the following funding to provide for the shortfall. 1, to roll the Whitehead Road roundabout project into the downtown streetscape project and allocate some $752,626.50 toward the bridge, as well as defer the Orrs Ferry driveway culvert replacement into the project as additional ARPA funds and add that $890,000 to the project. The funds are broken down on the slide as you see, where most of the funds are coming from SPLOST and a little less than half coming from the American Rescue Plan Act. So staff's recommendation is to award the contract to OMSHIV in the amount of $7,102,626.50 for the project to construct the Highway 20 pedestrian bridge, and a corresponding capital improvement budget will be presented later this month reflecting the new amounts and sources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basesh. Any questions of Mr. Basesh? All right. Yes, Mr. Anderson. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve and award contract 24011 in the amount of $7,102,626.50 for the pedestrian bridge to OMSHIV, and with the budget allotments as presented by the Assistant City Manager.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Hicks. Any further discussion before I call the vote?
I would
Ms.
like to
Avery?
make a couple of points, please, before we vote. I've been looking at many aspects of this bridge and listening to citizens ask questions that have sent me texts and emails. And one of the biggest things was, well, what about the crosswalk? Or what about a pedestrian study? And I started wondering the same thing, and I started watching the Hillcrest and 20 intersection to see. And I do see people using the crosswalk there, which led me to wonder, every time somebody pushes that button, is there some data? And I contacted Gwinnett Department of Transportation, and they sent me some figures for 1 month from August 19th to September 15th. And they broke it down into the north leg, west leg, south leg, and east leg. In 1 month of activity, the highest number was the east leg crosswalk, which reflected 347 times somebody crossed. And what they told me was the average was 12 a day. The lowest number was the north leg, with 184 crossing in 1 month, which averaged out to 7 a day. When I looked at the study, I thought, okay, so that's, we're looking at this bridge being able to serve about 20% in a 1 mile radius, and possibly more with other neighborhoods, other walkers. And I noticed in the study that the anticipated greenway use measured near Goldmine Park is around 130 users a day. I'm not sure how that was measured. I walk Goldmine Park, and I've bicycled it. I've tried to go in the last couple months, different times, different days, different weekdays, weekends. Sometimes I pass 2 or 3 people, sometimes 4 or 5. I think it's great Goldmine Park is getting used. I think 130 might be a little bit high. Maybe with the bridge, it would be higher. I'm a little, I think the crosswalk is okay. We do have one at Stanley Street. And I know if somebody's on the corner of Stanley Street, there's a crosswalk right there. So they have a choice to either cross at Stanley Street or walk up the sidewalk to 20 and then get on the ramp and then cross the bridge to go to downtown. Most people like convenience, and I tend to think that maybe more people would use the crosswalk. I don't think the bridge will be used when it's, of course, not when it's raining. We have lots of hot weather here in the summertime. I think some of our citizens who need the ADA will not be using it when it's very hot, when it's very cold. So I know the bridge is designed, has that ramp designed for ADA. I don't think the ADA usage will be very high there. I was also interested in noticing, I read the most recent Parks, Recreation, and Green Space Master Plan, which also included surveys to the residents, and I read that a few times. That would have been a great time to include in the surveys that they sent out, what do you think about a pedestrian bridge to connect the Greenway, especially since the master plan addresses green space. And that question was not asked during those surveys. I was kind of surprised at that. All in all, I also wonder, all of us know, somebody mentioned, you know, our house plans, it goes over budget. Sometimes things don't work out. And it's been stated many times that this has been in the budget since 2017. I wonder, since we all know prices go up every year, I often wondered, why didn't it come up? I understand in 20 we had COVID, 21 we're recovering. 22, 23, I'm not sure why the bridge didn't come up sooner when maybe the cost would have been a little bit less. For this time, right now, I've gotten so far between texts, and we have people here tonight to speak in opposition and in support. This has been one of the hottest topics where I have received emails and text about. My neighborhood and a couple of others, I've gotten 40 no's. $7 million is a great deal of money to spend for not quite half the population of Sugar Hill. And although it would be nice, although it looks nice, it's very expensive. And there are other projects that I think would take precedence at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. Mr. Page?
Sure, no, thank you. I do want to address some concerns. I'm purely on the fence regarding this. I've been written about being on the fence, and that's perfectly fine. I think one thing, a couple concerns that have been brought up that I do want to talk about. ADA is a concern. As you can see right here in the rendering, we've all had this rendering. We've seen certain versions of it. The sidewalks are not going away from Highway 20, folks. They're not. The sidewalks are going to be there. So if someone genuinely has an issue with an ADA going up the ramp, they can simply go down Highway 20, go to the crosswalk, cross Highway 20, and go up the Alton Tucker Boulevard extension. So this is eliminating some part of that. I think that is the mindset. I have been perfectly transparent up here several times. I have been perfectly transparent with our staff behind closed doors that I'm not a huge fan of this design, but we've worked through some of that issues. We've done some value engineering exercises, and it's hard to do. It is bare bones as it is right now. I mean, our staff has done a pretty decent job on trying to make this as bare bones. And I will be completely honest with you on a personal standpoint. I am 29 years old. 29. I anticipate to be here in Sugar Hill for a very long time. I bought my grandmother's house 4 years ago. You can look it up on public record to see how much I paid for it. My family has been in North Gwinnett for over 5 generations. We have roads, we have parks named after us, the Mathises and the Kimbroughs. This is my town just as much as anybody else. But I think it begs the question when I look at my daughter, who is 9 months old, who I am pushing on the Greenway. I don't feel safe crossing Highway 20. I would challenge all of you, as of right now, Highway 20 is about to get widened and we're going to get a new bridge. Have you ever walked across Highway 20 bridge? How'd you feel? You didn't feel very great. It's not fun. Our bikers out there have continuously had an issue with some of our stopways on railroads. We've tried to fix some of our intersections, working with the county, and we're still really working through some of those challenges to ensure that this is a project for all. If you don't want to use it, don't use it.
Excuse me.
If
We
you
don't
don't,
take public comment while our council members make
and at the end of the day, this is an investment in our community. This is a project that will not be here for 5 years. It will not be here for 10 years. It will not be here for 15 years. We're looking at 50 to 75 years, if not longer. God willing that Sugar Hill is still here, no earthquake or dam failure. I mean, it is going to be built correctly, and it has been programmed in since 2005. Who's someone who sits up here. It's a ability to cross Highway 20 has been programmed in since 2005. This has been a conversation for a very long time. I have heard from people multiple times, and I don't know if we can make a substitute motion to give staff additional direction regarding the design, because that is what I have heard, is the design on the bridge, not the bridge itself. And I just think it is time for something that is going to benefit the majority of residents who want to use the Greenway to be done. It's been way too long. It should have been done in 2005 or 2006 or 2007 or 2008 or 2009. And then it got revisited with another comprehensive plan. It's been here. I hate to be on the soapbox about this. I've heard lots of people, but if we continue to delay this, you're looking at a price tag of 10 million, 13 million, 15 million, 20 million. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Page. We're not able, we have a motion and a second, so we're not able to accept the substitute motion, but I believe staff would have that ability. That is my understanding. So,
I'd like to
Mr.
add to
Perkle,
this.
yes.
A lot of discussion tonight has been around cost and investment. I'd like to point out that our last round of city investment on everything you see down here has left us $40 million in debt. And I would estimate we're maybe $5 million behind on street paving. I don't see how we ever correct those issues if we keep spending $7 million on what I would consider a discretionary project there. At some point, we've got to tighten our belts, and we've got to pay down this debt. And that's the direction I think we ought to go.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. All right, yes.
I'd just like to add one more comment that I forgot to. I think we are also losing sight on where this bridge is going. It's connecting Highway 20, of course. It's connecting the Greenway. There will be a development within the next 3 to 4 months starting to break down Ackerman and Co. and Navarre has been in the plans for years at this point on that corner, which there will be businesses there. And then there is a developable parcel on the backside for a city park of some sort, whether that is pickleball courts, whether that is an inclusive playground. It is there. It is being programmed in. We are getting that donation of land, and it is usable land. It is viable land. It is not in a floodplain land. It is there for us to use. So this would be a great connector for our downtown to get across. You park it downtown, you can go over there and enjoy the shops, enjoy the parks, come back over, park on the other side, cross over Highway 20, get to downtown, come to the East Center and see a great show or what have you. So I think there is a lot's going on here, and we have yet to realize the completed vision of what will be here. So.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Anybody else wish to have discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Thank you, Ms. Whittington. All right, next we'll move on to item number 6, which is the contract award for Creek Bluff stormwater improvements. Mr. Besesh, I think that's you again.
It is. Thank you, Mayor. I do not have a presentation that goes with this, but as was presented at the work session, the city did acquire a parcel at 4605 Creek Bluff Drive in the Mill Creek neighborhood, which is adjacent to Frontier Forest, as a settlement with in a stormwater lawsuit. At the back of the property, there is a storm drain pipe that has collapsed and failed, and was the nature of the lawsuit. The city has looked at a solution for the property at 4605, but in order to complete those improvements, needs to extend the project to the upstream and downstream property owners. They have agreed to cooperate with us in providing temporary construction easements for the project, and are ready to participate and has signed those easements. In addition to that, the nature of the project will be to enter the property from the downstream end, reconstruct the pipe, replace the pipe, backfill it, and complete those improvements. The city did issue an RFP for those services to complete those improvements. There were 3 responses, one from Dickerson Group at $210,268.50. Civil Construction and Utilities, $241,420, and Reeves Young provided a proposal in the amount of $515,100. Staff reviewed the proposals. All 3 are qualified to perform this type of work, and we are recommending accepting the proposal of the Dickerson Group in the amount of $210,268.50. There is adequate funding, and it's coming from the American Rescue Plan Act funds as well, which this is an eligible use for those funds and was programmed for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Basesh. Any questions of staff? All right. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to award the construction contract for Creek Bluff stormwater improvements to the Dickerson Group in the amount of $210,268.50 and approve the corresponding budget amendment.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Avery. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the vote, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Last and certainly not least, Logan. Item number 7, the one-word change.
All right. Good evening again. This is a 2018 International Residential Code amendment that our building inspector and staff have recommended. This modification consists of one word being removed, projections from exception 1 within section 302.1 exterior walls as it relates to firewall separation. So this is just the amendment. It reads as follows. Slight modification, just having to do with where to actually put it in the code. We went back and forth with legal on where exactly to put it. We landed on a spot, so it'll be Chapter 14, Article 4, Local Amendments to Minimum Standard Codes, Division 2, Residential Code Local Amendments, and then Section 14-251 will be the amendment should it be approved. So staff is recommending the transmission of this item to DCA for review for a 60-day period, and then it will come back for adoption. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Logan. Any questions of Logan before I ask if there's a motion? All right. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to authorize staff to transmit the amendment to DCA.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Page. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Very good. All right, so we are done with the agenda. I do understand from Mr. Basesh, and he's typically a person of few words, that we have a need to discuss a real estate item in executive session. Is there a motion? It's not too late. Is there a motion to go into executive session? It's not our latest night that we've ever had. Is there a motion to go into executive session? I have a motion to go into executive session by Mr. Hicks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Anderson. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, Ms. Whittington says we're ready. We are back from executive session. We discussed one real estate matter, but we have no action to take outside of executive session. So I'll ask if there is a motion to adjourn our October City Council meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Sorry, a motion from Mr. Hicks and a second from Mr. Perkle. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, we are adjourned.